And a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back here on a Wednesday night as we continue our coverage of racing here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. And for the 6th week of the season, we continue our stateside adventures, and we're having a look at the streets of Detroit Belle Isle. Unfortunately, no longer a venue used in the racing world. This has become a track of days gone by, but very much still holds a place here on iRacing, and for the most part, I'd be saying is one of the better venues that Detroit has to offer, rather than what we've seen try to be introduced in its place in downtown. But maybe one day I can be convinced otherwise. Of course, as we kick things off here tonight, it will be, we'll talk more, of course, about what comes next after we get through this American muscle well, stage fight, something like that. What we've got coming up here on the streets of Detroit. 3.78 kilometers in length, pleasant conditions out on the track by the looks of things here. Thank you all for joining us, whether it's live or after the fact on GSRC's channels. My name is Danny Yeaman, be here thanks to Zach Caven for stepping in last week, and apologies for being absent on that front there, but family does what family needs to do, and it was a birthday, so that's the excuse I bring to the table. And Matt Schmicky here with me as usual, taking care of production, cameras, and all the stuff that you guys get to see on screen here tonight. So with the cars lining up on the grid, let's have a quick look through how qualifying is shaking out for tonight's session. It's going to be a pole position to the 57 of Jackson Rehana for this one tonight, sharing the front row of Dylan Walker. Andrew Dyson in behind, going to start out of P3 in the DPR racing coverage of Brookfield. In the ILAC Motorsport entry, going to be alongside on that second row. Brett Barker, Brenton Morris on row number 3 to kick things off. Michael Brennan and Chris Henn make it 2 Summit and ILAC cars in the top 10 respectively. Adam Lavis bringing himself into 9th place to start things off, with Darren Lobb going to round at the top 10 for DPR as well. Moz Moroz and Guy Leach, first cars outside the 10 there on row 6. Rain Losh and Angus Cook going to be 13th and 14th to start this one respectively. Adam Funslow and Joe Baldwin sharing the 8th row tonight. Reese Gosner and Wayne Taylor 17th and 18th. We get to Peter Vanderberg and Dale Sharp rounding out top 20, with your last couple of cars going to be Sam Lehman, who, if I'm not mistaken, actually making a return to racing in that case. Damien Seeger alongside him, no qualifying time for Seeger, nor Tom Pritchard, and Brett Bradbury if they all choose to take the grid. Looking at 24 car field, and it will look like we're down to Sam Lehman in 21st as the last car on the formation here. So unless we get any of the others joining us after a pit lane start, it will be a 21 car field by the looks of it. So going to be a pair of sprint races here tonight. 15 minutes is standard for the opening sprint, 25 minutes for the second of our main races, the main event for this one tonight, and it will be an invert top 10 from that race as well. So we now wait the departure of the pace car. Will be in the hands of Jackson Rehana there on the left of your screen. He puts the hammer down nice and early. Welcome to round 6 of Wednesday night racing for the GSRC. We get going here on the streets of Detroit, and Rehana will lead them into turn 1 comfortably, I should say, folks, with Darren Lobb challenging, Andrew Dyson challenging Dylan Walker for turns 1 and 2, but doesn't get there and falls back in line to prevent any more issues there as it's single file. Looks like for the most part in the top 10 until we get onto the straightaway. And then a little bit of action further on back as well that might be of worth, as we found out. Here we go, down to turn 3 for the first time. Dyson defending from Brookfield. The P3s will here, Dylan Walker rounding turn 3 is, Michael Brennan, I think they're second of the Summit Simsport cars, has dropped back a couple of spots. Indeed he has, back to P9 now as they round turns 4 and 5 and up to turn 6, a staircase section here in the opening third of the lap. And there we go, have all that information for you on screen as well, folks, as they make their way down this back stretch, but it's not particularly straight here, Matt Schmicky. They're a little curve and having to worry about setting up for the end of the straight with the curve braking zone to boot as well.
Yeah, it's one of those isn't straights like the Grand Tour test track had, and yeah, like you said, a bit of a curvy break point there. It can catch you out if you're not careful, and you end up in the runoff there. Everyone seems to have managed it so far.
Coming out of the fountain section as well, checking the box there pretty decently as well, I would suggest. So Rehana, gap up to about a second now towards the end of this first lap. Looking at our times of qualifying being about 1:34 or so. Just run that through the calculator real quick. I'll let you get a read on really quickly what we're setting up for in this race. Probably still on track for 10 laps at this one in the opening heat here tonight. So count them down as the clock strikes 1:50 here as your leader makes his way down the first of the straightaways, the actual straight one here at Detroit, into our first proper braking and overtaking potential at turn number 3. At least the one that's probably the most apparent anyways. Certainly turn 1 you could probably make a move at, or switch back through turn 2. Up here through the staircase, decent run through one of these corners can set you up for the following turn as well. And of course turn 7 into the end of the backstretch. Maybe a little bit of gamble through 8 or 11 and 12 as a bit of a short lunge as well. But he's going to be reliant in these kinds of cars on a bad run for the driver in front of you more so than getting a really good run, given that what we've seen from these cars not particularly draft friendly, despite the fact that they are fairly large cars. So you do have to do a lot better, which is most likely going to happen because of a mistake. And speaking of, Brenton Morris a little slow through the fountain, but Brett Barker behind, not in a position to capitalise. And by the time we get to turn 11, it actually turns out it's going to be Morris who's in a slightly better spot through the corner. Exit though is in favour of Barker, watching the 95 here, just in and out, trying to find some way through. Looks a little more confident through the corner at this stage. So let's just see if that number 95 Trans Am can find the run, but it's not going to be on this occasion. Down to turn number 1 here at the end of the second flying lap, as it's lap 3 of course for your leaders already. See there 1:34.9 for Rayhana, your race leader, and Polster, he's making good on that conversion here so far. Most of our drivers here in the 35s and 36s as we now watch them come down the hill there. We're going to have a look at Angus Cook if we can in 12th place. Is he looking for a move? No, he's ended up too far back. And as I say that, Morris around, it's going to cause a stack up at turn 3. Multiple cars getting involved. Brett Barker's around backwards now, having driven into the back of him, being the first car on the scene. Driver's going to have to avoid the stopped machine, which thankfully is sitting still. So good work there from Brenton to stay out of trouble as best he can. Unfortunately for him and Brett Barker, they're now off the back of the field and in no man's land. The rest of the field you can see here making their way up through turn 6 onto this back stretch, and that has obviously reshaped the order now at this point of the race. Angus Cook, the driver in P10, which critically of course is your inverse pole position for race number 2. Keeping on that one towards a closing stage of this race, not even a third of it on the clock complete, so still plenty of things that can change or develop in this one from this stage of it all. You can see here we've got plenty of train formed for this phase of the race too. Lavis up to P8. He's got Mos Moroz in behind. He's on the back bumper of Michael Brennan. He's trying to recover and has well done so now in this race to this point. But he's got the better run through the last couple of turns. It all ends up fairly even, except for Moroz slaps the fence through turn 13. Hurts his run down this front stretch a little more. But he's not in a position to be threatened, it seems, by Angus Cook behind. Meanwhile in front, Lavis better through the turn, or through turn 1 than Brennan, but over the crest of turn 2, they're about even, both using roughly the same amount of road. So unless there's a Hail Mary lob coming, don't think there'll be a change for P7 just this time round. As we're now on the curve, how close do you dare get up and over it, folks? The answer is you do want to be on it. A bit is in the background there. That looks like that might be, it's Wayne Losh in the grass in that very white machine, and just be releasing out of the funds though to press on there. That car already sporting quite a few warbs in that, and that definitely tells a case of someone who's pushing and found the limits just a few too many times at this point.
Yep, certainly does. I think everyone's pushing pretty hard, but he just went a little bit over the limit.
Watch this battle pack here. 7th on back is Moroz deep at turn number 9. That's going to open the door to Angus Cook to slip on up into 9th place, and Moroz now has a fender bender on both front corners of his car. This rather interesting Subaru World Rally team, I believe, spy design or converted design onto his Trans Am. Doesn't exactly fit. Sure, the Japanese run a BRZ Super GT, but that's GT, not exactly a silhouette American muscle car racing of sorts. That's what I'd probably call this one here. What the heck is it called?
It's a bit of a
Give me, but where on earth did the quad lock reference come from tonight? I know what you're talking about, but nevertheless, we'll worry about that another time because Angus Cook's having an eye on Adam Lavis into this third turn. Morales is coming in too hot though. Oh, locks up the brakes and barely avoids Angus Cook's bumper. Man, that nearly ended up going sideways for Cook or Lavis. Morales has to wait for a gap at around P16 or so before he can rejoin the racetrack. 17th actually now. And that's promoted Guy Leach to the top 10 invert position for race number 2 tonight. Although he then tries to set something up on Angus Cook, makes a bit of a meal of it. And Joe Baldwin will now be sniffing around for that 10th spot if he can get something sorted out down towards turn number 7 here. But I don't think there's really space for it. And Leach defends too. So going to have to try some other place. So work their way into this fountain section. Tricky little bit of track here. Single line that's really optimal means you've got to make sure you're hitting your marks. Can't really deviate too much from it because you're either giving up time or making mistakes. Oh, Baldwin hangs on to it though through turn 11. Nearly sends himself to the tyre bundles on the exit of the corner. He does not do so though. He will lose the attack pressure that he was putting on Guy Leach though and has to worry about Adam Funslow, who's been trying to progress in this race and has done so up 3, although Angus Cook, Baldwin himself, and Dale Sharp, all your biggest movers in this race so far. They're up 5 places, each of them. P9, P11, and P15, respectively, for Cook, Baldwin, and Sharp at this point in the race. Unfortunately, Brett Barker and Brendan Morris are 2 drivers who have gone backwards by substantial amounts from P5 and P6 to 20th and 21st. And still running, but in the wars. Let's have a look at this one here because we unfortunately looked away from it, but it's going to be a solo error locking up the rear axle into turn 3. Missed the tyre bundle, but then Barker's right there, gets collected as well by Brookfield. Over the top of Taryn Lobb's car goes Morris, and then we play split the traffic here. Go left, go right, which would you choose? The answer, thankfully, most people, is the right one. Even with a bit of grass excursions, it hasn't caused any further problems for them. So, back live, Funzo still on the rear bumper of Baldwin, though he looks to be trying to stretch that a bit in the next couple of corners and potentially get back on Guy Leach to return the pressure. It's coming up on the 2/3 mark in this race by time and also on track for that 10 laps as expected as well. So everything is coming up nicely on the maths. In fact, Rayhana completes lap 6 just now. 1.2 seconds ahead of Walker, who's 1.3 seconds ahead of Dyson. They have cleared the field by a substantial margin. It is nearly 6 seconds from Dyson to Brookfield. And 5.7, there you go, as Brookfield crosses the line not too long ago. He's got Chris Henn, he's the car behind Brookfield. Next to, closest on track, it seems, in the top 10 here, is Darren Lobb in this Lego block machine, despite being teammate to Dyson at DPR. Still choosing to show his affinity for, well, arguably one of the most popular children's toys in the world, mind you, Matt. So not a bad thing to put on the car per se, even it implies that it's perhaps a little fragile, if we take things in a literal sense.
Yeah, also world's largest tyre manufacturer. Got to get that joke in there, though. I suppose it's true, just not car tyres or race tyres, just little toy tyres, but still counts.
It's all rubber and plastic, so you know, just a little bit of a different construction, and maybe, arguably though, excellent durability. Maybe some lessons to be learned there about how to make a tyre last near ad infinitum. Although I can probably concede there's probably some issues with performance if you wanted to really wring the neck out of those tyres, mind you. But this battle here will be one to keep an eye on. We also probably need to have a look at Lavis and Cook again. They have sort of faded the fraction right here at the end of the lap, but through the fountain section it was getting awfully close to Cook putting some real pressure on the back bumper of Lavis. So the ebb and flow of this race, it seems, is going to continue on. There's also the fact that Walker's dropped a bunch of time to Rayhana, and he's fallen back towards Dyson in third place potentially. So that's one to keep an eye on as this race continues. Well, Roz and Vanderberg have swapped places, all because Vanderberg's having some issues there, which means he's just dropped in behind the 934 entry today. As Cooks locked the rear axle into turn 3, hangs onto it, and gets out the other side without any problems. But a bit of exhibition drifting there in Lavis's rear view mirrors. Let's see if that puts him off his game, but so far the answer would appear to be a no. We'll happily press on. Cook really trying to turn the screws, finds the wall fractionally with the left rear corner for his troubles, and press on down the stretch here towards turn number 7 once again. As we're on the side of the track that is closest to the border with Canada, just down in the river. Even though we are not exactly as far north as possible within America, old-fashioned geography here in the city of Michigan and the borders of the state. City of Detroit, state of Michigan. I can get that right one way or another. So this here is a good spot for Cook. He's a little better through the apex of turn 11, but appears to be trading a little bit off there when it comes to apex line and speed versus exit drive, as Lavis pulls a couple of car lengths to not be under so much stress. Lap 9 is underway. We're still 2 minutes away from the time expiring, so as predicted, we will get our 10th lap in before we see the start of the white flag. Lavis, though, misses turn 1 apex. Does Cook find a run to capitalise? At least allows him to close up. He'll brush the fence for his troubles. Yep, excellent spot there indeed. Matt is down to turn 3. Chris Henn now on the defence from Lob. Can the 899 do something with an over-under? Better drive through the corner. He looks into turn 4. Henn actually leaves the door open. A little risky there from your P5 driver, but maintains his run and will stay ahead for now. He is staying awfully close, though, in this race. So watch out for it, because it's not going to go down anytime soon. And there we go, off turn 6. Up the inside now towards the end of the straightaway for Darren Lobb. Chris Henn has the first preferred side of the road. They'll almost touch, not quite though. Lobb has the apex. Henn is going to try and fight this one. He's going to be escorted towards where the wall rejoins the track, so has to concede position. Might have taken a lick of damage on the left front corner from the wall to boot as well. Lobb finally gets his mark and moves himself up to P5 here with just over a lap to go for these drivers. Rayhana coming down the stretch now to the white flag, and Barney on the stand to start. There we go, confirmation from Barney there. 10 laps will be the order of business in this one. Gap has stabilised between Walker and Dyson, if anything. There you go, last lap around. Dylan the fastest of the top 3 on this particular occasion, but still wait to see what he can do in this one. The answer would appear to be about similar to Rayhana, so not enough to range him in unless there's some big issue or mistake from the driver who has led from the drop of the green flag with a commanding run to turn number 1. It also appear the rest of our battles in and around the 10 have sort of fizzled out. Lobb's made a margin enough on Chris Henn that he's not really going to be under threat. It's about similar to the gap you can see there between Walker and Dyson, give or take. A couple of drivers further on back here. Dale Sharp is trying to get some pressure on Wayne Taylor in front of him for one more spot in this race. Into 14th, that's where he'll have to start race 2 as well, mind you. He's got a couple opportunities left to maybe find something, if there is anything there awaiting him. Has he got a better... Oh no, he's hit the apex wall and he hits the exit wall. Thankfully, looks like he's going to get away with it in terms of major damage. He'll just drop back towards Peter Vanderberg. Pressure released from Wayne Taylor in that instance. So back up to rhythm. I'm sure he will ask. We may want to turn our attention to the front of the field. Coming to the checkered flag is Jackson Rayhana, and it has been a comfortable run for him. He's extended the margin on the final lap of the race. Lights the flag. Rayhana will win the opening race of the night from Walker and Dyson. Looks like Brookfield, once we eventually wait for him to make his way around, is going to hang on against Darren Lobb, who though he has caught up a good amount of time here towards the end of the race. Top 4 though will remain unchanged from the start. Henn, Brennan, Lavis, Angus Cook, Guy Leach hangs on to that final top 10 spot, and he will therefore be the man to start this second race off tonight. Baldwin has to settle for 11th with Funzo on his tail. Wash, Taylor, Sharp, Vandenberg, Gostin will come on through together there. Moroz is in between us and Sam Lehman here to finish this one off for tonight. You go Brenton Morris getting a finish in this one, even though it's a lap down in 21st. And Sam Lehman is going to be our last driver. Not quite. It's our penultimate driver on the lead lap. We get 20 drivers finishing here on the lead lap of the opening race here from Detroit, Belle, Isle, with Brett Barker's car, the last one to make it around to the end of this opening race of 15 minutes. And that will be just about it to set the stage for race number 2, which will involve some pit stop work thanks to fuel tank restrictions. We'll talk about that once I get a chance to confirm the numbers during the break. And then we can sort of crunch a bit of a description on what to expect coming up here shortly for this one. Well, with the race over, we should be able to grab ourselves those full results. And we can talk through that all once again to confirm how they worked out. There they are. So Rayhana, final margin 2.4 seconds, almost 2.5. Ahead of Dylan Walker, Andrew Dyson right behind. Sorry, I keep getting that wrong, my goodness. Doing myself no favours at all. Richard Brookfield ahead of Darren Lott. That's the man I'm thinking about talking about there for the top 5. And Chris Henn, Michael Brennan, Adam Lavis, Angus Cook and Guy Leach to round your top 10. Invert them all around to get your starting order for race number 2 shortly. Joe Baldwin will have to start from the outside. They're looking ahead to Funslow alongside him. Losh, Taylor, Dale Sharp, Peter Vandenberg, Reece Gosner, Mosmaros, Sam Lehman, Brett Barker all finishing on the lead lap. For your top 20, other driver to start and finish this race was Brenton Morris, albeit a lap down there in 21st place. No sign Damien Seeger, Tom Pritchard or Brett Bradbury after they joined during practice. Well, once again, the concrete walls here, Matt, of Detroit Belle Isle sort of proving they are some of the tougher parts of racing at this track. Although in saying that, we also saw a bit of issues with slip and slide going around the turns. Now, let me just quickly crunch some numbers on the fuel. Anything from that opening race while I do so that sort of stood out to you tonight that might be an important thing to keep note of for the second race here?
No, I think there's actually pretty good racing here, a lot of slipping and sliding and some small touches on the wall. Only really that one incident of note and maybe a couple other smaller ones, but everyone did pretty well for a wall with no runner for the most part, and very big consequences if you get it just a little bit wrong.
Indeed, you do not want to mess that up around this place. So I've just crunched some numbers on the fuel. We're looking at around 12. If you can save, get to 13 laps on a tank of fuel, we're looking at about a 16-lap race. So between 3 to 4 laps of fuel, it gives us a decent range for sort of the effect, the pit stop window that is forced by the tank restriction. It's saying that 25-minute race. We do have it it is compulsory all the same, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure it's compulsory for this series, but I doubt they'll make it on fuel.
No, so they definitely can't make it on fuel without sacrificing so much pace. It'd be not even funny. It may also be a case of the fact that this series is initially meant to be a 45-minute. I've just found the updated. So no compulsory stops, but by virtue of the tank restrictions, yeah, doesn't matter. They will stop to have to get fuel in the car and make it home, because yeah, they end of the day, how to put this right, they're not going to get there. So quick look here at the grid as once again. So Leach, Angus Cook, your front row. Adam Lavis, Michael Brennan for row 2. Chris Henn, Darren Lobb, Richard Brookfield, Andrew Dyson, Dylan Walker, Jackson Rayhana to round the top 10 out for this one here tonight. And then as they finished race 1, Joe Baldwin from Adam Funslow, Wayne Losh, Wayne Taylor, Dale Sharp, Peter Vandenberg, Reece Gosner, Mosman, Sam Lehman, and Brett Barker. With the 21st and final driver we're expecting to start this one going to be Brenton Morris. And for Morris and Barker, this will be the sort of the big redemption chance for them. As I've also just heard Wayne Taylor get over the radio, and he has actually dropped some spots with some issues, so he can just fall back up in the spot where he would like to be. So, bringing around to the green for the second and final time in Trans Am tonight, before we can then start talking and looking ahead to what comes next on the schedule. But that's a race away from us here. 25 more minutes on the clock. Hold your horses there, gents, in the back of the pack. We haven't gone green just yet. Guy Leach is going to hold them. Hold them to the green, and we'll go racing at the drop of the flag this time by. It's going to stack the field up in behind the second row as we get ready to get this one into turn number 1. Front drivers unchanged for now. It's side by side for the second and third rows as Lavis and Brennan going to have to duel this one out on the drag. Turn number 3 on this opening lap, and they're already into each other with the wheels for a moment there. Get through okay for now as there's a crisscross attempt going on between Cook and Leach. Nothing comes of it at this particular moment. Lobbs bared a spot on Chris Henn, Dyson a spot on Brookfield. DPR boys moving forward at the expense of the ILEC drivers, and seeing a bit of one up, one down through the fields to start things off. You have to go back to Peter Vanderberg and Sam Lehman to see drivers moving more than one spot backwards to open out the accounts in this race. Looking like most a single file. Then the backstretch on this opening time. No one's had the run off turn 6 on this particular equation. The fountain to see who can get the best drive and get the car where they want it to be. Might have to look for the race lead. Angus Cook is hunting around a little bit in the shadow of Guy Leach. Can he get a run off of turn 11? He's right there. But I don't think he's actually made a bit of run on exit there, as you can see. Oh no, Del Sharp around in the background at turn 11 has stacked up on the apex with that 5 cars involved. Sharp, Mosmer Roz, Reese Gosner now caught up in all of this. I'll have to grab a replay right as the leaders sorted themselves out. Trouble further on back is, oh, Leach, maybe a bit of a touch. He's been touched on the exit. Around he goes. And now everyone's going to have to dodge Guy Leach. Thankfully, it's clear enough down the stretch that, oh, there's the gap. No, folks, go right, go left from where you're driving. What I'm seeing is go right, but it's go left, please. Thankfully, they do. And Leach has got the space now to recover, although he might just say, well, sucks to be me. That'll do it for the night by the looks of things. Wasn't an apology from Cook on the radio, but I think we are going to have to add that one to the replay reel to try and catch, in addition to Del Sharp's incident at turn 11 on lap number 1. So already a bit more fireworks here in the feature race at Belle for these Trans Am late model stock. So into turn 11. Oh, stack up there in behind the other white car, which is Wayne Losh. Oh, there's been another incident on live with Michael Brennan at turn 7. So back to the current pictures. That's Brennan right now. It's causing more issues further on down the road. Chris Henn's backwards. Only a turn later on the track. It's a mess. Oh, Chris, be careful. Don't go that far backwards. Oh dear. We've had a contact from another car driving in. Was that? Who was that? Mosmer Roz has made contact.
Yes.
Actually mechanically black flagged Brennan's car. It's now actually smoking the motor. Multiple cars, I think, towing or leaving the track on that one there. So we have quite rapidly thinned the numbers right off the bat one then. Yeah. Barker and Moros say that'll do them for tonight. Oh, Chris Henn disqualified by iRacing for driving too far backwards down the track to try and spin the car around. Oh, that's cruel, but it was a risk that he chose to take, going that far backwards to get to a bit of road where he could turn the thing around. Man, oh man. I'm trying to make sense of what exactly triggered all of that for those drivers. There is a bit of a mystery shape. As Darren Lobb now is looking for second place by applying some pressure to Adam Lavis. In towards turn number 7, but it's not going to occur on this occasion. to wait for a couple more corners. And at this stage here, Dyson, Walker, Rehana, top three as you finished in race one, are still in the inverted order that they were of that last race, but they're now, yeah, 5th, 6th, 7th, and unless Rehana can clear Walker, maybe Dyson might be the one to challenge and take a race win in this feature. Or, then again, he's still got to get through 3 cars to do that, and at this occasion, it's all pretty line astern from what I can see. We'll wait to see the updated lap times here come on through. On 35 for Angus Cook. Beats Lavis and Lob. 35-2s, 35-1 from Dyson, Walker and Rehana in that order. So, a couple of tenths gained, but it's going to be making baby steps towards the race lead in this case. Not so much. Oh, but never mind that. Cook makes an error at turn 3, loses the race lead to Darren Lobb, who's gotten through on Adam Lavis. And all of a sudden, at the 1/5 mark, this whole race is continuing to just unravel. Driver by driver, corner by corner. Oh, Lobb's got around turn 6 and taken Lavis with him. What on earth are we witnessing here, folks? This is madness. And another car strikes ill. Lob out of this one here. Surely Lavis, having driven into the scene of that one there, will be vulnerable. Rehana's going to go up the inside and take his place away. And now your top 3 from race 1 are together, inverted still. With Lavis and Brookfield still for company at the moment, but now everyone back to Darren Lobb in 14th, which, pardon me, Lobb is behind Angus Cook in the pits apparently at the moment. Yeah, last car circulating is now just Peter Vandenberg in 14th. My goodness. It's an absolute mess of madness. Brennan has rejoined the track, I should also say, as well. So there is that to consider too. So pardon me. 15 cars circulating, 2 in the pits. The rest of them have retired from this one, in addition to our non-starters. It has been a bloodbath, Matt. Did not see this coming after the relatively orderly opening race, and this hasn't been rough and tumble. This has been drivers making errors all on their own.
Yeah, it's certainly got a bit crazy this race compared to the last one. And there's a lot of action, so I'm trying to make a list of incidents so we can go back and look at them if it calms down a bit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to piece together where we would need to focus. Because, yeah, this is getting a handle on what's relevant to the equation, which is sort of messy to say the least. So Michael Brennan, Christopher Hen having their incident on lap 3. Everyone else piled into that. Then you had Angus Cook crashing by himself on lap 4. And then Darren Lobb a couple of seconds later also on lap 4 having a crash. I think those are the ones we'd want to prioritise having a look through when we get the chance, as we are back to 16 cars circulating and on the lead lap. Michael Brent, Darren Lobb getting back out there. Absolute scenes from the feature race of Detroit. So much so I don't even know where to take that one for now. It does mean, though, the top 3 from race 1 are back in the top 3 spots, but they are still inverted from the race 1 finishing positions. And the driver with the pace at the moment is Jackson Rehana, to the tune of about a quarter of a second over Dylan Walker. Nearly over 3 full tenths on Andrew Dyson. But it's one thing to be here on the back bumpers. Got to now find a way to get the pass done as well. Is going to be the important next phase of this situation. As through turn 7, Walker ranges up on the back bumper of Lobb. Can't find a way through though just yet through this fountain section. As you keep on turning left, and then, oh, hello, we're at the end of it. Turn right to exit back out onto what would be the continuation of the back straightaway if we didn't need some extra corners thrown in to add a bit more to this circuit. It does make me wonder in a what-if scenario, Matt, at this place, if we skip past the fountain and we just blast it down all the way along the back part of the track. I mean, it wouldn't be much of a passing zone, really, because it's a medium speed right-hander, what is actually turn 12. You turn it into turn pretty much 7 by virtue of cutting the fountain. But we do get a better overtaking opportunity in that turn 7, given that it's a tighter corner and better braking zone 4 as well. Dyson defensive here on lap 7 into turn 3. But in the end of it all, doesn't really have to defend too much. No attack coming under brakes on this particular time from Walker as we continue to climb up the staircase here. Walker finds the apex and he gets a little squirrely with his right front tyre. Gosner's gone around at turn 3 by himself, I believe, and he actually departs the circuit forthwith. So that's down to now just 13 drivers circulating on the track. And I'm still on all that. And pardon me, let's get that right. There's 15 of them circulating. The last 2 are just nearly a full lap down. That's how rough and tumble this one has been. As off of turn 11, we will look top 3 stacked up, but closer battle apparently is Lavis and Brookfield. They're still going despite Lavis piling into Darren Lobb at speed a couple of laps ago. Alan Funzo right there with them as well. The slightly tighter trio. Oh, there's a round in the background. Wayne Taylor loops, although there was an apology from Joe Baldwin, so we might have another one to add to the incident rostrum. I get the feeling if we don't take a chance to how to put it, Matt, I think we've got these incidents racking up. Now I feel like if we don't find a way to get to them, we never will. So Guy Leach, yeah, sorry, it's a good first one too. Yeah, a bit of a touch from Angus Cook. He said over the radio he didn't realise they were making contact, but it ends up unloading the rear of Leach, slows him up, and then more contact to finish the job, it seems, unfortunately there. Everyone having to play dodge left. Thankfully, no issues with that. So that was the first bit of leading travesty and chaos, and then we want Chris Henn behind if we can. So just back up one car, I believe. Here it is. Pardon me, Brennan goes around, and he gets Henn with the rebound off the walls, and then, Henn nearly rolled back into the queue. Thankfully, that didn't really happen, and then we still, he did get Barker, oh, geez, who was that there? Brenton Morris clipping him as well. And that was just about it. The only other one really was Angus Cook had something happen to him. As Wayne Taylor has come afoul of Darren Lobb after this, sorry. So we had this solo moment. Yep, there's another lock up of the rears into turn 3. Okay, knows the tyre bundle. And then up at turn 6. So let's let this one play through for Darren Lobb perhaps if we can, because Cook moves over and pulls it up. Just gotta watch out for Darren Lobb here. What happens to him at turn 6 to bounce out hard. Apex wall into the tyre bundles and right back into Lavis. The engine blows on Lobb's car. Miraculously, it hangs on for Lavis in the process. And that is a quick review of all the stuff that went wrong in this race with some of our heavy hitters. Right, in the meantime, Rehana takes to a pit stop to try and perhaps undercut Dyson and Walker, who have gotten closer together here on lap 9. Remember, they've got to at least lap 12 on the fuel calculations that I have for them here today. So keep that one in mind. $1 question. Can Rehana go faster on his own? He has come out in P6. No one in front of him at this time. Does the extra fuel in a Trans Am late model stock help or hinder the car to a significant degree? All right. Lobb and Walker both pile it on into the pit lane, and then Walker in so hard he locked the front tyres into a bit of a smoke show. So neither of them screws up the pit entry for the record though, so valuable. We'll wait to see how long they stop for. 7 seconds for Reihana is my calculation that I've got on my screen. Dyson and Walker just about either side of his number, pretty much. So Dyson a little conservative, Walker perhaps a little, aggressive. Walker a little conservative. Here we go. Exit of the pit lane. Looks like they're a couple of tenths matter. No contact! Reihana doesn't leave. And he barks on the radio, but I'm sorry, Jackson, you just... Oh, okay, we don't need the blow up on the radio in the server, gentlemen. Well, heated war of words in the server. So watch the replay here. I get Jackson's frustrated, but it's a race off pit lane. And end of the day, that angle pretty much tells me that Walker still has some overlap there, Matt, and no one's going to back down on the outside there when they're in a position to contest for the spot. Try for an onboard shot of it here. Okay, there's not a lot of overlap though. But it's sort of like no one's going to back down in the racing situation, so do you just need to preserve yourself rather, I mean, different speeds. There's a possibility Reihana clears. Might have to go picking through the rulebook a little bit more before I say something with such concrete assertions. Either way, Andrew Dyson now clearing away the effective race leader, and likely to be the one who will take the checkered flag once this all shakes out. I might actually have a look at it myself one last time for a separate angle. And the contact is behind Reihana's rear axle as we're going to another replay. Yep. So this is what happened between Wayne Taylor and Joe Baldwin. And what happened there was that Wayne clarified on the radio he was coming to the pit lane, but he backed off a lot there through turn 13. Baldwin not ready for it, and unfortunately straight up the rear clacker, and that is what ended that moment there on the circuit. But back live, Funslow, Brookfield going to be lined up together. They have stopped, and they're now running effectively third and fourth in this race, sort of fairly comfortably so. Wayne Taylor behind, having also taken a black flag for his troubles when he came into the pits, so that slowed him down just a wee bit, getting back out on track. So these two here, though, Matt, they're content to ride around for the time being as Lavis to the pit lane. Looks like it's going to be Joe Baldwin, the only driver to go longer, based on the fact that he doesn't appear to be stopping by, and indeed he will press on past to take a lap at least in the lead or thereabouts of this race. See where Lavis filters out in relation to these two drivers, perhaps. This could be close on pit exit if his stop is short enough. Yeah, a little conservative on fuel there, it looks like, for Lavis, so this might be the Eyelet cars getting clear. Funslow will, Brookfield will as well. So Lavis is going to have to try and hunt them down here in the closing stages of this race, but he's down on momentum. And as they make the run to turn number 3, he's going to have to G up and back into it here for Aussie Races number 23. Of course, one of our club regulars when he can get behind the wheel, which is actually fairly often. So the exception there being Monday nights as our regular broadcast producer for our Waste Options Toyota Rd-6 Challenge and GT3 Challenge series.
Well, I believe, if the stats that we may be getting soon are to be believed, he is the most frequent driver in the club's history. But we're just waiting to get confirmation. Josh is doing up something pretty fancy. I don't want to spoil too much. He can be one to show it off, but I think Adam takes the cake for most laps and races and all those kind of stats.
That's quite believable, from what I gather. Because, yeah, we do see him out on track most other nights of the week, given that he has volunteered plenty of time in the background to making a whole lot of other stuff work. As Baldwin, end of lap 12, will hit the pit lane. He won't even get the chance to be classified as leading the lap, unfortunately. Dyson will get in front of him before crossing the start-finish line. I think Walker technically sneaks by too before that happens. So that won't be a stat credited to Joe on that occasion. And he will drop back to probably somewhere around Wayne Losh, possibly. We'll have to wait and see what the numbers say once he finally stops. No, he's already actually, pardon me, he's already stopped and rolling again. And yeah, a pretty conservative pit stop from Wayne Losh means that he's going to be behind Baldwin, but at full speed and close in a couple of hundredths on the run to turn 3. So there you go. Baldwin, Losh, Morris, perhaps a battle for watching here. It's not on the podium in the closing laps of this race. Still a podium spot to decide between Hounslow and Brookfield, but they appear to be fairly content riding line astern. They've also still got that pretty healthy margin back to Adam Lavis, who's in behind Wayne Taylor at this stage as well. So it's all looking pretty settled and cruising now. It only takes a couple of moments for that to turn up on its head. In fact, Wayne Losh has got a little closer to Joe Baldwin than I was expecting based on the gap at pit exit. He's found about 2/10 since the run to turn 3. We watched him here up through the fountain. Gap reopens slightly. Oh, it's a bit deep for Losh, I think. Yeah. These kind of cars with this modest power, not low, but more high. A lot of it comes down to it actually being somewhere in between momentum and a pace car in that sense, if we to sort of put it in a different way. Obviously, cars that we see sometimes, especially here on the platform GSRC, Toyota 6, Formula Ford, Skip Barber, Formula V. You lose so much time by being a millimetre wrong, and therefore scrubbing speed where you don't need to, and other things like that. Whereas obviously the higher power you go, the margin for error sort of grows in terms of how long you can be and how far off you can be in difficult stuff. But the smaller mistakes don't add up as much because you can make them back a lot easier. The consistency is harder to nail for most people anyways, not without some serious hours in the driving seat, that is. So having a looking around the field, looks like Dale Sharp's had an excursion at turn 3 by the look of that angle he was coming back onto circuit with. And it appears that we're going to be right on the next of our replays to have a look at this one here. Another rear lock. Yep, another rear lock into this third corner. And for Dale, just keeps it out of the fence. There, right front, there's a bit of a grass dip, but he will press on without any additional damage to worry about. So we go. Brookfield closes up to Funzo, sorry. Turn 12, but 13 does not work out for him. Gap goes back out to 6/10. So there's some serious ebb and flow in this one as it's just under 2 minutes to go, but the leaders are well clear and heading down the right stretch of turn 3. So we are going to get 16 laps out of this one here in our 25-minute feature, folks. Hope to see in this next 2 laps will anything develop. The only cars that are less than a second apart, Funslow Brookfield for P3. And when it happens, Baldwin and Losh for P7, but that's now Gap's also growing out past a second of points. Interesting to note there that it's happening right as we speak. So Losh, for some reason, a little concerned about fuel, having to sacrifice some straight line, because that's particularly where he seems to be losing his time, I wonder. A little odd as well, Matt, because Wayne Losh here has one of the stops that's got the most fuel in the car by about a second or so. So a little interesting there that he seems to be driving a little more slowly into the turns. And drivers ahead of him who appear to be tighter on fuel. Or maybe just some errors, because as he brings it into turn 7, yeah, Gap's actually not really changed on this particular occasion to Baldwin in front. So the ebb and the flow, I think, perhaps more to play in that one than needs to be said. Brookfield closing on Funslow again, but through 13, actually holds reasonably steady, but Dyson and Walker take the white flag at the head of this field. Gap there just under 2.5 seconds now. Despite that gain there from Walker, it's going to have to be something different, something out of the ordinary that changes the situation for them there. As the ILEC Motorsport boys start their final lap of the race as well. Does Brookfield have something for his teammate on this, the final lap? Lavis has still got some margin back to Jackson Rehana. He's losing time pretty significantly at this point in the race, having also just had to clear Wayne Taylor for traffic. We'll wait to see if perhaps a lap here in clean air for him might just adjust those fortunes. And Wayne Walsh has got Brenton Morris inside of 6/10 for company. That may be one to watch at the closing stages of this lap as well. But beyond that, not seeing a ton of racing as Darren Lobb threatens a 134 in racing conditions with a 35.0, the new fastest lap of the race, even though he is down in P12 and a bit of a lonely finish coming for him. Caught up in all the madness at the start of the race, which unfortunately was of his own construction. Into the fountain we go. Morris gets in under half a second. The ILEC boys are ever closer together, but Drew Dyson going to take the checkered flag here around the final turn, and he will take a win for himself ahead of Dylan Walker with another second place to the 053's name before the night. Funslow Brookfield, either a fuel issue there perhaps, because Funslow was a little short on the fuel number, but he will give up third place to Brookfield in that one to round it off. Lavis, Rehana, Baldwin, Losh ahead of Morris. Sam Lehman's going to be able to run through and get himself to a P10 finish once he eventually makes his way around the fast couple of corners there. It's been a bit of a quiet one for Sam Lehman, but he has made his way up the field, nose clean in this second one in particular, and gets himself a healthy result for it there as Dale Sharp follows him home for 11th. Darren Lobb, does he have anything better than a 35.07 for us? He does not on this final lap of the race. This leaves Peter Vandenberg and Michael Brennan, your last two drivers, who will come to take the checkered flag in this feature race of the merch.tgsrci.com TransAm series for round 6 of the season already. Things are flying by here, I swear, this season, Matt. Wasn't that long ago, I swear, we're talking like 3 and 4 out of 10, but hey, you miss 1 week and all of a sudden it pops off in some respects.
Yeah, it certainly is going quick.
And we'll talk more about what comes next when it happens. But for now, should be able to bring up the race results shortly and speak to them more in some detail. So 2 seconds, the margin at the line between Andrew Dyson and Dylan Walker there for your top 2 spots. And then the ILEC cars of Brookfield and Funslow switching there on the last lap on the run to the line, which I think was a fuel situation perhaps for Funslow, but maybe we might be able to find out here during this interviews post-race. Adam Lavis hangs on to a P5 finish in the 23 machine ahead of Jackson Rehana. And, well, we'll see if there's a word spoken or unspoken that need to be said there. There's something apparently about issues last week that I haven't had a chance to get myself up to speed on, and perhaps need a rewatch of the broadcast there. Joe Baldwin going to come home in 7th place for this one at this stage tonight. Wayne Walsh behind him in 8th. Brenton Morris closing at one stage, but not quite there for has to settle for 9th. And as I said, Sam Lehman in a bit of a pocket of his own there in 10th place. Dale Sharp behind for 11th. Darren Lobb for 12th. Recovering, trying to, I should say, after his earlier incident. Peter Vandenberg, Michael Brennan, last cars on the lead lap for 14 there. And you had Wayne Taylor and Angus Cook finishing the race 1 lap and 2 laps down respectively. So unfortunately, after 21 started, we only had 16 that took the flag, with Reece Gosner, Guy Leach, Chris Henn, Brett Barker and Miles Melrose all retiring anywhere from 5 laps into the race down to just 1 lap to this race here tonight. And that is your race results here, folks, from the TransAms. And we'll now wait to see if we do marginal win by any of them. We are going to be joined by our feature race winner, Andrew Dyson. So might best start there whilst we see if anyone else joins us. And tight racing out the front for you tonight, Dyson. Had to settle for P3 in the opening sprint. Was it a case of just really closely matched between yourself, Jackson and Dylan at the end of that one, or is there something you might have been able to find that you did find, say, for example, in race 2?
No, I think pretty much, where you qualified is where you were going to finish. I think unless someone made a major mistake, that's probably about it. I mean, even when I sort of got close to Dylan there, I think I was like 0.6 or 0.7 behind him. There was no way I was carrying on Dylan. So. Although in saying that, those guys were all over me in the second race, but I think I had a little bit of damage. I'm not too sure. So I didn't feel like I was passing anyone.
Yeah, it's been an interesting case. I guess these cars we sort of think, oh, American stock car, surely there's some drafting potential, but we've seen this season every race long, that doesn't really seem to offer up a whole lot on these road courses when it comes to draft. You're really reliant on either absolutely nailing your run or some kind of error for the guy ahead of you to be able to make an easier time of it into the next braking zone almost.
Yeah, pretty much exactly that. Kind of high like when Darren Roberts smashed the inside fence and I got a pretty good run on him there because he was parked. So, things like that, when that happens, it works out pretty good.
Just seeing there, you were very lucky to avoid Chris Henn and Michael Brennan having their incident on lap 4 as well through the fountain section. But that sort of gave you the break, and I can see a little bit of damage on your left front at that point in time. So that might be a bit of damage you said you think you could feel behind the wheel. So I guess, we've also seen that they're sensitive cars to big hits. So in a track like this where to be fast means you've got to flirt with the concrete barriers, how much did it feel like the car could take in terms of hits before you really were struggling? Did it take a proper hit, or was it even little brushes were pretty vulnerable and felt quite notable?
You could hit it and you wouldn't get any damage, though I tested it in practice. You could hit it pretty hard and you would definitely get damage. But what I actually noticed in a couple of... My wheel was disconnected, that's great. What I noticed in a couple of spots was you could sort of graze the wall with the outside, the rear corner of the car, the corner entry, and it would really take away that initial rotation. It would really suffer up. So, I mean, as hard as it is to know how close the walls are at classic cars, these cars are quite wide, and you don't really sit in a great position in the car. It's hard to tell where the walls are exactly, but got away with it for the most part.
Oh yeah, got away with it the best, you could say, in race number 2. But at the same time, there's a lot of back and forward for you guys out there. But let's sort of talk about the season, I guess, for you. You currently sit before tonight, 3rd on points. But given the fact that Angus Cook, an average round for him tonight, also for Darren with the incident for himself in race 2 means he's going to lose some points from that one there relative to yourself. There's a fair chance you'll be 2nd, I'd say, at minimum, possibly quite close to 1st. And we're still talking another 4 rounds of racing, which is a mix of stuff. And it's continuing our American theme as we head cross-border to Montreal at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It'll be a 45-minute race next week. It's a track that sees plenty of stock touring racing. Any sort of things you're looking forward to, or things that might be a bit of a struggle in these kind of cars around that track next week?
Oh, jeez, I know. I'd like to see how they go over the curbs. There's a couple of curbs like you could get right over. Turn 3 wasn't too bad, and turn 4 you could sort of get right over, climb right over. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go up the curbs, like the last game. There's a couple of spots, the 3rd chicane in the lap, I'm pretty sure, after you go under the bridge. So there's a couple of spots where you can really go up some curves in a lot of cars. Yeah, you can do it in these, but who knows. Guess we'll wait and see.
Indeed, you'll have to wait 7 days for that one, folks. before we get back racing in these cars. And, well, yeah, I think that's going to about do it from me here, Matt. Anything you wanted to bring up, speaking with Andrew here after his run tonight?
No, just very well done. You picked up another win after the double you did last week, I believe. So just killing it.
Well, thanks. I certainly wasn't expecting it. I didn't think I was in a great spot. You know, if you don't win the first race, it's pretty hard to win the second one usually with all the reverse grid stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of folks just sort of had a bad one and I took advantage of that. So, yep, all good. Cheers for that, guys.
Thank you, Andrew, for joining us. Any other final shout-outs and thanks you want to make before we let you go here?
Oh well, I was being a bit cheeky with Darren before, but thanks for coming out, Darren. You had some trouble before the race, and you got racing anyway. But I think, like we were saying earlier, it is pretty hard to know where the balls are, and he copped it pretty bad. So, unlucky Daz, and yeah, thanks to you guys for putting us on and the rest of the club for making it happen.
Well, thank you, Andrew. And indeed, he wasn't the only one, unfortunately, to find the wall in some fashion tonight. And that seems to be the tale of Detroit at the end of the day, whatever car you bring around here. So someone, unfortunately, pays the price.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, see if we can survive next week. There's a few walls that are pretty close, so see how we go.
Indeed, that wall of champions. Don't want to add yourself to that list either at that place. But thank you, Andrew. All the best, and have yourself a good night, whatever that may entail.
You guys, I'll see you another time.
So there you are, finishing third in race one, second in race, winning the second race. Man, I can get my words wrong tonight, Matt. That's a real mumble jumble there. Looks like we don't have anyone else joining us at this stage for the time being. So we didn't really talk about schedule, but we might, if we could, throw that up real quick. As I sort of hinted at there, yeah, it's Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal, where we're going next week. It's our last track on this sort of American stretch that started all the way back at Sebring for round 2 of the season. It's a return to the 45-minute format that was sort of laid out for the initial round of the Red Bull Ring, although as per the minor adjustment that was made for Sonoma, no comp precautions to mess with pit windows and such, so there is that there as well. So considering it all, we saw the end of a street circuit run as well too here between Belle and Gilles Villeneuve. And then looking at it here, Sandown in 2 weeks for a start of an Australian shift, although we head back to the Americas with the all-new Mexico City circuit, also Droma Hermanos Rodriguez for round number 9, and then Phillip Island to play host to the final race of the season, which might be interesting to say the least. So it is getting to the crunchy point in time, and we'll have to see how everything plays out in that next week. But with no one else joining us here, Matt, I think we can declare interviews over at this stage for the merch TGSRC.com TransAm series for this week. And before we take a very quick break, a shout out to all of the club sponsors that are making the racing action and the broadcasting possible here tonight, and of course on Mondays, Thursdays and Fridays as well. To Disruptive Labs, our club sponsor for season 2025D. Big thanks to Richo and the crew for getting behind everything the club is doing. Waste Options, our Monday night sponsor of Toyota 86 and GT3 racing action. Trophi.AI, continuing sponsor, of course, of the Supercar series. Up next here on a Wednesday night, Pantech Industries supporting the, Porsche Cup series tomorrow night on a Thursday. Sprayton non-alcoholic cider, regular club supporters of the club. Of course, get some merch from the club at merch.tgsrci.com if you want to support the club in a more direct sense. And John at Flash Graphics for all of your iRacing livery needs, as well as things like all of the decals you see on broadcast, and also the drivers may run also on File Show. The Disruptive Labs supporting the GT4 series on Thursday night, and the Road to Indy Next on Friday nights as well. But that's going to wrap us up here from the streets of Belle Isle. Don't go anywhere there, folks. We do have, of course, the Trophi.AI Supercar series with its own American flavour here tonight. And it's more street racing. We go from the northwest to the northeast to the west coast. It's going to be the straights of Long Beach up next for that Supercars racing. Stay with us here at the GSRC. And welcome back, folks. If you're stuck with us here following the TransAm series, or if you're joining us specifically for what's coming next, a warm welcome to the west coast of the United States of America and one of the other all-time greats when it comes to street racing in this country, the Long Beach Street Circuit on the shores in and around the port of Long Beach here in California, just south of Los Angeles itself. This has been a circuit that has seen plenty of changes over the years, but consolidated and solidified on this particular layout that we see here on iRacing for about the past 15 odd years, possibly longer. Actually, definitely longer, because it's been, I think, since early 2000s that last changes were made. But welcome, of course, folks, to our main event of the evening, as it were. The Trophi.AI Supercars series continuing on for its 6th round here in season 2025D. And qualifying is just about to hit a conclusion. Looks like we've got ourselves a fairly full field of 27 drivers qualifying, potentially 29 drivers starting. And they're going to have to tackle 2 sprint races, just like the TransAm format. 15-minute opening sprint, and then 25-minute main race with an inverted top 10. And they will have themselves a pit stop forced by the fuel tank in that second race. And it's actually, pardon me, it's a compulsory second stop in that second race, unlike what we saw with the late model stock. But let's have a look at qualifying results, because it is close at the top end of town. But the driver on the pointy end of pole is going to be Lachlan Capel tonight in the Evolution Racing team. Mustang sharing the front row with Will Buchanan for AITT Revolution E Racing. They both Pip Sam Blacklock there, our defending series champion. The 3 of them, though, covered by less than a 1/10 of a second. Blake Fitz is going to share that front row for Rapid Theft. And then it's an AITT Revolution E Racing row 3 with Jake Slater ahead of Sam Cullen. Johnny Bannack also with the squad there out of 7th, and our best dev driver at this stage in the night. Aidan Luthwaite going to be on that 4th row with him. Lachlan Pryke and Jordan Eitler running at your top 10 there with an elite and dev split. And as a party and Labours make it all dev on row number 6, Bradley and Pavlovich, Pacific Esports duo on row number 7. Andy Barber makes his first start of the season from 15th, Tristan Koch alongside him. Daniel Snedding, Greg Heaney for the 9th row, and Tim Nicol, John Simpson running out the top 20. Behind them, Andrew Neal and Angus Cook are going to share row 11. Ben Walkington and Dale Sharp for 23rd and 24th place. Nathan Michael, Edward Rollo, and Barry Kluver, your last drivers of the qualifying time. If they join us, Joe Baldwin and Martin Lipsky going to make it 29 drivers who take to the field. And here they are, lined up, ready to roll. With the lights coming on here in just a couple of seconds, folks. 15 minutes of the Long Beach Street Circuit set to go our way. Oh, and Capel's jumped the start, I think. He's going to get absolutely hosed by Buchanan and Blacklock as a result. It would appear he might have got jumps at just the right time to avoid getting a black flag from iRacing, but nevertheless, he goes from the pole position down to 4th place. He's been challenged by Cullen into turn 1 on the outside, and they'll be side by side the first couple of rows once you get back to around Capel's spot, and indeed he'll lose the position to Sam Cullen. It's back to P5 for your pole sitter as they then go side by side in the mid-pack through the fountain for the first time here. And a very meticulous bit of navigation required from these drivers. Can't commit to full power as a result of all this. But so far, so good. Blacklock going to be your race leader at the opening half of this lap, having made that nice little run up from 3rd place. Buchanan and Fitz, though, going with him here in the opening couple of corners. We'll look to see who converts here from a qualifying set to a race run, because yeah, top 3 were tight in qual times. Walkington around in the back of the field, 2:89 unfortunately, and looks like Joe Baldwin opting not to start the race. So 28 drivers to the field for this one. As your leaders get around the Indy left car parking section of the track and on to the start-finish stretch. We'll see here who's got the drive as we make our way to the end of lap number 1, and we're looking at qualifying times in and around 1 minute 20, pardon me, in this one here tonight. So a little faster, of course, than the lap times we saw in TransAm at Detroit. So on for probably 12 laps in this opening sprint. So a few more laps to get through here tonight than we saw with the Trans Am cars at Belle, which does obviously come down to the fact that this is a shorter circuit, higher powered cars. Cullen and Capel at it though, the 4th place on lap number 2, and the elbows come out in means Capel gets through. Jake Slater going through as well. Cullen with a bad drive is going to have to settle into P6 and make sure he's not rounded up. Johnny Bannack, his teammate though, in behind, and leader of our drivers in Dev. So maybe a case that Bannack will be probably looking at a chance at promotion tonight based on this qualifying and start of race run form. We'll have to get to the end of it though before that can be confirmed or denied. As Mr. Matt Schmicke, welcome once again, and thank you for providing our feed here as well as our broadcast graphics. As we watch here, Aiden Luthwaite trying to hound the back of Bannack, sorry, into the hairpin, and he's certainly giving out a couple of light touches. But bit like the Trans Ams, lap 1 and 2 of the sprint have gone reasonably successfully. That hopefully doesn't bode for a carbon copy of what we saw in race 2. Mind you, also apparently a comment about the font, which has appeared to have done something.
Yeah, it hasn't loaded the font for some reason.
Slater's tapped the fence at turn 1. Thankfully for him, it was the tyre bundles. The right rear is fairly square on as well. So I think he's gotten away with that, but it has backed up his teammates. And Capel now given some margin to move. Oh, Sam Cullen, slowdown flag in the opening sector. He's going to have to let Luthwaite through. And then he nearly loses it. And Lachlan Prich gets released as well. He's now just barely ahead of Jordan Eitler to around the top 10. And critically, don't forget, of course, top 10 outright will be inverted for the second race here. So keep your eyes on that spot as we get closer to the end of this race as to who is going to get a front row start and who is going to have to settle for being 11th place on back in particular. To kick off the second of these 2 races, Snedden. Around is Daniel Snedden on the exit of turn number 8 onto this back stretch down drive. Yep, gonna wait for all front bumpers come off the car as well. Just about everyone gets on through. Barry Klug from the background's run on long, and he finds the tyres of his own. A little unfortunate there for the Rat Bag Racing entry tonight. But he might have just pulled that one up. But 3 laps down, and the gap is now 1.4 seconds between Blacklock and Buchanan. So we'll see if that holds steady, because that obviously needs to develop over the next couple of laps before we can say anything with some certainty here tonight. Blake Fitz, though, looking a little bit stronger in race form than he did in qualifying. Was about 3/10 away from Buchanan in the qualifying lap. It would appear so far that he's happily hanging station and riding about the similar pace. Angus Cook's gone around and exit the fountain, it would appear, by himself as well. He's tagged the fence as well as gassed up the throttle too much in the Summit Sim Sports Camaro. So he is now down towards the rear of the train. Meanwhile, bit of elbows out here between John Simpson and Peter Pavlovich for 16th outright. And Simpson tries to go around the outside, but he does catch the tyres slightly with the left side of the car. This lovely Team Vortex inspired design for the Summit Sim Sports Mustang. Now that you have some Caltex branding there on the car that he's chosen not to emulate with Summit Sim Sports and other brand logos. Has instead kept that, some of them original, other parts converted, as Pavlovich lights the rears on his car coming off the hairpin. Appears to have just enough of a margin though to stay out in front on this particular run to turn number 1 as they sweep out here on these cars. Use a fair bit of the track width, given that they don't particularly have a ton of handling grip, and it allows them to keep their foots buried in the firewall, wide open throttle. As just checking here, through urban traffic with Tim Nicol, and he has to negotiate, and it's going to actually park up this next pack of cars if they're not careful. It's a little bit of an untimely spot to come across a lapped car that's trying to mind their business, trying to not be an impediment, but it's just such a short track around here, Matt, that you can mean the best of intentions and still get in the way, and I think that might have just happened to Greg Heaney.
Well, yeah. See if we can see what happened there.
So Kluver there in the pink and black Mustang. So trying to pass this packet. I'm a little concerned that Kluver here is going to miss his braking marker. Oh dear, he has big time. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but it does sure look rough after letting them go and then firing back in anyways. So he down to 20th place now behind Nathan Michael. And Tristan Koch got through as well in all of that there. So a messy lap 5. A couple of drivers there looking for minor positions amongst the dev split here tonight at least. Watch here, meanwhile, battle for 8th place. Lachlan Pride leads Sam Cullen and Jordan Eitler. Cullen is currently not graded amongst our drivers here in this season. Do have Johnny Bannack running P6 as a dev, but that seems like that's overdue a change. You would probably say Jordan Eitler as a party in Labour, so they're close, but are they going fast enough to earn dev to elite promotion? That is part of the complex mathematical calculations that are done by Adam Lavis to determine what pace, how pace determines your classing in this series, and also similarly other series here that GSRC runs, such as the Porsche, the Pantech Industries Porsche Cup. It has an elite and open class. Well, Martin Lipsky's found the barrier at turn 9 at the end of the backstretch. It would appear this car is got going again though, so continue to watch this group here. Prike, Cullen, Eitler as they get out of the fountain on lap number 7. Already past the halfway mark by my calculations, and also past the halfway mark of the clock too. Down to just less than 5 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in this race. So we still are on track for 12, folks, as there's been a change for P3. Lachlan Capel has emerged back into a podium position ahead of Blake Fitz, although it's very close between the two of them into the end of the backstretch. Prike and Cohen similarly close for P number 8. Meanwhile, so I think Matt Schmicke is just trying to adjust things to get the overlays working as intended. So apologies for the lack of those here at this stage, folks. But rest assured, I'm sure Matt is hard at work on that one there. So an update on your race elsewhere on the track. Gap between Blackhawk and Buchanan is up to 2.5 seconds at the end of lap number 7. There's another 2.7 seconds back now to Lachlan P3. Blake Fitz is with him, but now about half a second between them. That might grow or stay the same. We are yet to see. Jake Slade holds a couple of tenths, about 8 over Johnny Bannack for 5th and 6th, who's then got Luthwaite half a second behind. That's the pack of cars ahead of what we were watching. They're now in the background of shot, as we are seeing here Fitz and Capel on your screen now. This appears to be fairly settled as Capel is getting back into his rhythm, it seems. As Cullen has just passed Prike for P number 8. Meanwhile, Black is shot. There they are, with Eitler in behind. Its final car in the top 10. This thing here for Eitler is, do you just hold position knowing that this means, okay, I get to have pole position for race number 2 here in a couple of minutes' time? Or is he here to race? The answer appears to be not really, compared to Cullen or Prike there, going at it pretty aggro between the two of them as they round turns 9, 10 into this empty left section here at the end of the lap. If we come to the hairpin, Prike to the inside, force the door open. Cullen still wants the outside. He actually gets a drive around the outside very nicely to protect the spot whilst not getting himself pinched on that apex. Checks the box very nicely there for the defense of that 8th place. And now Eitler on the gearbox at Prike through Bridgestone corner. No moves into turn 1 on this occasion. 8, 9, 10 flash through your screens like a moment's notice. Elsewhere in the pack, you've got As a Party, Lavis and Bradbury, and the next group of 3 cars in a line. The first car's therefore outside the 10 as Tim Nickel fence at turn 1 in the number 22 machine, sorry. Let's look to see him. Can we see him moving. He's down in the fountain already, so it would appear he's got going okay. I'm just going to quickly look at that one for it myself. He locked up, straight to the tyre bundles, the runoff, pardon me, and then backed it up and continued on. So no issues there for him, relatively speaking. Banak and Luthwaite going at it for P6 now. They've lost the gap to Jake Slade. And that'll release Slade to focus on P5 for now, as Nickel here continuing to circulate. This here is that battle between Banak and Luthwaite as they come off of the hairpin here. Looks like it was Johnny with a slightly better run than Aiden on this particular occasion as they start lap number 10 of what should be a 12-lapper. And indeed, actually, it's going to be pretty close, folks. We might only get to 11 laps here because they are lapping in the 122s. And at the opening lap was a 1:27. Indeed, with 122s on the cars, we drop back just under 11 laps in this race. So my apologies for faulty calculations, part of the math work when we got this one going here tonight. There's a bit of lap traffic now for your race leader as he passes by Angus Cook on the backstretch, heading towards Indy left section of the circuit. So he'll see the white flag this time round indeed. 1:23 as he exits the hairpin. So that's a guaranteed white flag from Barney. As Luthwaite very close to the back of Johnny Banak into the end of the backstretch and coming off of Seaside Way. This long front stretch here, Shoreline Drive at Long Beach. Well, we say front stretch, but again, big fat bend in it that doesn't actually get called turn 1. And your leaders have this lap traffic to negotiate, which includes Barry Kluver, which might be a little bit of a pickle for some, but you see here, Banak, Luthwaite, still battling over position number 6. They haven't shifted spots just yet. Lachlan Prike is trying to give Sam Cohen a laser hot treatment to finish this race off as well for that 8th position. There's about 1/3 of a lap down, 2/3 to go for these drivers in these packs here. Jordan Eitler on track to hold on to that 10th place and secure himself an invert pole position. Plenty of cars that are close together, but no one making big moves at this stage. Matt, but eyes may need to come forward to Sam Blacklock as he's rounding the final hairpin now. And it's been a very nicely controlled race. Didn't get the lap in qualifying by all of 0.08 of a second, but gets a golden opportunity off the race start. And he does not look back to take a sprint race win here at Long Beach and put himself in P10 for the 25-minute feature coming up here shortly. It'll be Buchanan who holds his starting position as second. Capel gets back to the podium at least for 3rd. And Luthwaite has jumped Banak through the hairpin there. Nicely done up to P6. 10th position is still going to be Jordan Eitler there in the Fight M&D sponsored sky blue and black Mustang. He will get the pole position with the front row shared with Lachlan Prike. Last couple of cars rounding the hairpin now in a battle around 16th odd place. John Simpson's going to lead them home in that Team Vortex inspired Vortex Racing Mustang. Well, pardon me, is that more Russell Ingall style paint job than Team Vortex? If it is, I'm very sorry for getting that completely wrong. There's a second of our EvoWorks racing cars makes their way across the line, and with that, it is just going to be P25 of Ben Walkington, who did stay out and finish this race there across the line. And our results will now be official for this first sprint race. And as we transition out of race 1 to a new time of day, clouds have settled in. Track is still dry, but it is looking a fair sight different. There is rain on the horizon. Question is, will we see it here or will it affect the circuit? I think it might affect the circuit between this short warm-up and the next race. So get ready, folks. that was the forecast as outlined by the session schedule. It may also be a case of, yeah, I'm not sure whether it means that the warm-up is actually been scheduled the day before.
I
Although
think
actually, no, we're at 9 a.m. in sim. So I think the actual positioning of these session times is a little wrong. We're somewhere nearer where that feature bar is, I think.
Yeah, I think still there's a bug where the warm-up and heat show opposite to where they are. So it says heat and feature are bunched together here at about 9 a.m. where the rain is, and then it says warm-up. But I believe where it says warm-up is actually when heat 1 was.
Okay. All the joys of the new UI still... actually, this is old UI stuff. Still throwing curveballs. I'm going to presume, unfortunately, Matt, that issues with SDK mean we're still not able to get results and such showing, at least with the fonts and everything that we were expecting. Is it? About 15 seconds left here in the warm-up.
Not sure what's going on with
quickly
SDK.
Recap. That's all right. It's giving you a headache. That's certainly not part of the plan for tonight. So, obviously, a quick recap of Blacklock, Buchanan, Capel, your top 3. Elite drivers down to Luthwaite now in P6 after he pipped Johnny Banach to the line. Banach, your first development driver or Dev Series driver, so he will take the class win in P7 outright tonight. Sam Cullen, I would expect, will therefore slot into an elite split based on the number of elites. And he's surrounded by an 8th. Prix, P9, Jordan Eitler, next Dev driver, rounds out your top 10 tonight. So we flip those 10 drivers around and go Eitler, Prix, Luthwaite, Banach, Cullen, Slade, Fitz, Blacklock. Oh, sorry. I got that order around the wrong way. Yeah, Eitler, Prix, Cullen, Banach, Luthwaite, Slade, Fitz, Capel, Buchanan, Blacklock, your top 10 on the grid in that order. And then Travis as the party, Adam Lavis as they finish 11th and 12th. Bradbury, Andy Barber finishing 13, 14. As there we go. That's more like what we want to see on that one there.
There we go.
Fantastic. So there's your top 10. As I said, invert them from race number 1's results. And we'll flip over the page real quick because we will have to speed through this one now if it'll behave. As a party, Lavis, Bradbury and Barber, Pavlovich and Simpson, Koch and Nickel, Heaney and Michael, your top 20. Dale Sharp, Edward Rollo, Andrew Neal, Martin Lipsky, Ben Walkington, Angus Cook, Daniel Snedden, Barry Kluver for the 28 drivers we'd be expecting on the grid for this race. All right, folks, 25 minutes. Expect maybe 19 laps, but with a long pit stop time here, it may be 18 as we hit the green flag from Barney at Long Beach. And it's a bit of a traffic jam in the mid-pack and a bit of elbows out as drivers make their way down towards turn number 1 for the first time here. And Eitler's going to be challenged by Cullen on the outside, who's got the braking run into turn 1. Prike up the inside doors. Yeah, fellas, you've got to survive this one.
Put Luthwaite around.
Back up. Luthwaite's around in the middle of the road on the exit of the fountain. Everyone's going to have to split their way to get past him here. Thankfully, there's space enough to do so. He'll get pointing back the right way. At the front of the field, though, Eitler holds on for now. Contact with Luthwaite was with Sam Blacklock trying to go around the outside through the fountain. And as they headed out the other side, there was a bit of overlap, so we'll see what race control thinks of that, because we will have Thomas Cole on hand live tonight for Supercars. But Eitler still hangs on to his pole position for now. So round the head, he's a little wide though of the apex. Cullen gets up underneath him on the run out of the turn. Now watching out, no, can't get past here. Oh, Lavis is around in the hairpin. We've got a bit of a stack up in the hairpin. Which is going to cause all kinds of pandemonium for the drivers in the mid-pack. I think it's finally clearing up only just now. That's how long it's taken for that to uncycle. Meanwhile, leaders Eitler, Cullen, Banach, Prix, Blackhawk in top 5 at this stage, all stacked up together behind your reverse grid pole setup. He's doing well at the moment as Jordan Eitler, but he's got pressure from behind as trying to apply a blowtorch. Here's Sam Cullen at this stage as through this tricky little right-hander onto the backstretch here. There's Seaside Way. Prix trying to defend from Blacklock. He moves over to the left-hand side of the road. In fact, actually lets him through nice and early, it seems, apparently. So, race winner from the sprint goes up to P4. There's still a question mark, I think, over his head, depending on what race control sees or does about the exit of the fountain on lap 1. May have a price to pay for that one there. As Daniel Sneddon has hit the pit lane on a toe for the number 97 Whiskey Business entry. So, trouble there off screen. As we start lap 3 of this race of what should be 19, but it may be 18, depending on how long they're in the pits for. Eitler's a little deep through the fountain, but a wiggle from Cullen means he can't get a run through either. So they all continue to sort of stack up a little bit for now. Forgive me for a second here, Matt. Actually try and run some numbers on what we should expect these guys fuel. Would actually be a nice one because they are fairly limited tonight. Blacklow to the inside of Banach up towards turn number 8. And, oh my word, huge pile up on the replay.
Yeah, that's what was happening back there. I just wanted to see. Yeah.
Revolution e-racing colours for him. There in the 97. Yeah, doing a real good job here. So I'm off looking at trying to get some numbers. Being like, oh yeah, let me go and have a look at some stuff. And then it's like, oh wait, hang on, what's this massive crash that I'm watching on the feed? And missing the giant Disruptors Labs replay signage top left of your screens as another driver strikes trouble at turn number 9. It's Nathan Michael this time. Just come a crop up. He gets going again, but now in P20 with pressure as leaders start lap 4. It's now Blacklock to try and give the hurry up to Sam Cullen, who turn, really pressuring Eitler through the exit of the fountain section. They all seem to struggle at one particular point, different to each other there on that particular lap. So get back out the other side, carry on. As again into turn 8, he did this on Banach last lap. Gets to the inside and Cullen has to yield. There's no way to get through there side by side. Let's go on the inside. It's going to take a pretty preferable racing line for themselves. So another spot gained. It's one of those overtaking moves here, Matt. That's you wouldn't necessarily think it's a great shot, but again, tricky run out of turn 6 means that if you've got good drive and you position your car well, you can get out with a good run to turn number 8 for a setup. And you might even have a crack at turn 1 here on Eitler with clean drive. Nathan Michael's gone around again, this time at turn 6 in the background of shot. Let's watch for the lead here. Is there going to be a change in turn 1? I don't think so. Actually, it looked like there's a bit of a gap that's growing on this particular run to the first corner. Now 1/5 of the way through this race by time. Although by my calculations, we're at the end of this lap will be 1/4 of the way through on laps. So that's how we end up a little bit off as Eitler is wide at turn number 5. Blacklock looks inside and he can get there. But there you go. Update from race control. Not too shocking to me that the incident with Aidan Luthwaite is going to net him a time penalty for 10 seconds as well. So now has to hope either that Eitler defends aggressively and this holds up the cars behind, or there's something else that might do it, because that's going to be pretty hard for him to take care of, as Tim Nicol ends up with a 10-second time penalty for Vincent Adam Lavis on lap 1, which would be the hairpin, if I'm not mistaken. As Cullen hits the apex fence of the hairpin. I think Banach might have done something kind of similar because Blake Fitz gets to his inside but doesn't get the drive off the corner. Gonna have to slot back in. Single file for these guys so they work their way down the start-finish stretch. So a 10-second penalty right now would put Blacklock down in 10th place. Let's put that all in perspective for you now, folks. That's how relatively compressed the lead is. The top 6 covered by just 3.5 seconds. 7 drivers, pardon me, covered by 8 drivers, covered by 4.5. It is a small days as Fitz is looking at Banach through turn 5. It's only half a sniff. There isn't going to be anything there on this occasion. Cable is looking at Cullen for 3rd place. This whole little game of chicken and egg, cat and mouse, however you put it, is Capel up the inside of Cullen, Fitz up the inside of Banach, but he gets a bit of a slippery run. Does sort of park the run for the 037 though, so he will hang on to that spot into turn number 9 on this particular lap. It's worked out pretty well for him in there, Matt. But these guys keep fighting. Well, that 10-second time penalty is going to be less costly to Sam Blackwell if these guys are only focusing on the spot directly in front of them.
Yep, well, he's already over 2.5 seconds out, so he's still got, what, 16, 17 minutes to go, so he could definitely pull out 10 seconds if he keeps going at this rate.
Now, also an update, just sort of doing some fuel numbers rudimentarily in the background. We're looking at a fuel tank range of 13 to 14 laps for most of these drivers here tonight, as for some traffic fuel leaders in the form of Dale Sharp having to be overtaken by your leaders here after some trouble for him early on in this race, making life a little bit messy, as Capel to the inside of Eitler at turn 6 will get himself 2nd place. So Blacklock's gained himself a 4-second head start on Capel. The question is, oh no, Eitler in deep. He's going to kiss the tyres at turn 8. It's going to release the entire group of cars. What a shame for one of our front-running dev drivers in the opening sprint. Result falls back to P10. That is a right shame there for Eitler. Goes back to where he finished race 1 with a bit of an unforced error in turn number 8. Meanwhile, Prix and Buchanan at the hairpin. No! Contact is going to spin Prix, and then, oh no! Jake Slade nearly got him for secondary spins. Buchanan is now stuck in the hairpin and falls back to P12 before he can finally get it pointed out the right way. A costly overrun into the tightest corner on the circuit. Oh, Blacklock's gone off for turn 1. Your race leader has gone off unforced into the runoff there for him. He'll drop back to P6 on the rejoin. All of a sudden, laps 7 and 8, folks, just picked up a little bit more action that wasn't particularly on the cards. And as you can see, he's all alone here, Matt. Just missed the brake marker. It's in way too hot. Locks the fronts. Does get it stopped without damage, but the damage is in time.
Oh, he backs into the wall there.
Yeah, and then the biggest challenge is, there you go, waits for a gap that he can actually safely rejoin into. Okay, well that changes the equation of the race. Lachlan Capel inherits the race lead. He's got Sam Cullen looking to make some pressure on him. In turn, Blake Fitz looking to pressure Cullen. And Blacklock now potentially sitting around P13 after penalties, maybe more. Still, of course, less than halfway into this race. Blake Fitz, early pit stop coming for him. We're about the point in this race where you can comfortably make it from here with a 13-14 lap tank underneath you tonight, and only 18 to 19 laps in this race. You can get in probably as early as lap 5 or lap 6, and Aidan Withwaite has done exactly that. So let's watch for the 707 later on as to whether he's got anything. Eitler has just come out as well and done the same, although he's 10 seconds clear of Withwaite. Eitler, don't forget, was down around P10 after his own unforced error. So that'll be one to Page in the closing laps. The big thing for me, though, is going to be overcuts are strong, but when you can go nearly 3/4 the race on a tank of fuel, you probably don't want to go too long. You see Blake Fitz here, end of lap 8, start of lap 9. He's pretty much pitting right on about halfway, although here you go. Not traffic, this is actually for position. Ben Walkington is out here, although Walkington does realise the situation for him is not to be racing a driver like Fitz, and releases both him and Martin Lipsky, I believe, without any kind of concern there. Back up to Lachlan Prike, who's got Blacklock looking to try and make a run here. Blacklock gets the outside on the run to the hairpin, which is ambitious because it actually puts him in a pretty rough spot initially. He's trying to get the drive down towards turn number 1. He's right in the wheel tracks initially. No pass coming on this 10th lap, 10th time through the first turn for now, at least. You've got to be thinking though, at what point do you get your stop done? Is there a pocket you can get yourself out into as a party has joined the group? The drivers unfortunately come unstuck at turn number 1. And I believe somewhat was down the runoff. He's kept going again in 10th place. And that will unstick him pretty roughly there. Overcuts are strong, but you want to probably get yourself on a set of tyres soon-ish. The turn 8 manoeuvre from Blacklock again. He shows the nose only, though, this time. Doesn't get there on Prike under brakes. You watch these two drivers, some of our closest pair of cars in the 10 at the moment. Continual ebb, flow, look, hunt for a run. And looks strong through turn 9, but can't get anywhere at this stage. Get the over-under possibly here on the exit of the hairpin? No. Is there a pit stop bidding? No. We'll stay out and complete lap 10. So we are coming up now on, at most, 9 laps to go here in this race. Just thinking to myself, surely you'd want to come to the pits soon, try and put some advantage to tyres, because think about Blake Fitz. He's also got out in some clean air at the moment as Fitz, and that's going to be particularly valuable to him and allow him to make the most of his car. And good evening to the fellows at Revolution E Racing. There's a little bit of lap traffic to negotiate in the form of Barry Kluver. Just a bit awkwardly on the apex again. Timing everything as Andrew Neil has gone around on the exit of the final hairpin in the 444 right before pit entry too, so it's practically a now no, you can't pit right now even if you wanted to at the moment. You're going to have to wait for Andrew to clear himself out. She does now do so. But definitely unfortunate to say the least. And I'll tell you why no one's pitting. Rain is approaching at a decent clip of knots. But I have to wonder, it might not show up in time for this race here, Matt. As here's Andrew Neil, unfortunately, all by himself on the gas. And around goes the rear end of the Orbic racing team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the rain hits. I've just noticed Blake Fitz is missing his front bar now. I'm not sure when that happened. Oh, here, lap 10, I've got him registered. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, I think I found the same one as you. So if you've got it, let's queue it up and have a look. Because that could certainly...
oh, no, it's already missing there.
Pardon me. Let's see if I found something on my own.
It's hard to see because whenever they go around the hairpin here, it registers as a crash. So
yeah, well, there's an actual shunt and crash on lap 9. See if you use something to Blake Fitz.
Yep, here we go, lap 9. Oh no, it's missing there already.
That's already come off. It's literally the previous corner. So if there's something fractionally before that, or otherwise,
there's another one. Here we go. This will be it.
All right, this will be it. Yeah. So on the up to turn 8, he's gonna come into the braking zone, and I'll let the pictures tell the story here, folks. But it's all good and well for now, and no, it ain't. Broadside into the tyres. Well, left front actually takes the hit. Yeah, left front takes the whack, and off comes the front clip in the process. So he might be the driver that was looking on for an undercut strategy, but Johnny Banach has jumped him in the 037 and jumped him by about 6 seconds in the process. Sam Cullen next to pit from in behind Lachlan Capel. Blacklock was through on Lachlan Prike as well, but now what is second place. But again, Blacklock's trouble. 8 seconds off of Capel, and 10-second time penalty is going to put him back to Tim Nicol at this stage. And that doesn't include drivers like Cullen, who were up the road comfortably from him, that would jump him in all of this pit stop stuff. Now we're on lap 13. They can probably go this lap, maybe one more for fuel. It's kind of interesting to see this here. I know the general rule of thumb in these cars has been take the overcut where you can, but when you're only then giving yourself a very short window on these tyres, I feel like the best opportunity has kind of already gone past these guys. You probably wanted to come in end of lap 11, I would have thought. Give yourself an 8-lap sprint, and that's some time to actually use your tyres. Whereas now, you've had to stretch this opening set of tyres away. I mean, cold conditions with a dry track still, it may be a case that, it's a sort of an optimal situation for a car. Also a track where, slow average speed, so the tyre loading isn't too severe. Prike will pit, Blacklock and Capel. No, just Blacklock will keep going. Capel and Prike have gone to the pits. Tim Nicol is going to be the next coming to the pit lane. What does he do? Nicol boxes. So there's only Blacklock going about as far as the fuel will let him go in this race. Battle Pack now in behind. Sorry, not Battle Pack necessarily. Jordan Eitler, Jake Slade, Will Buchanan. Sorry, there's 3 cars, full position around traffic. Pit stop's complete. Eitler has the mark on these guys for the moment. Oh, Lachlan Prike has made an error on the pit lane of some fashion. His pit stop goes for 21 seconds. I think he's filled the car up as much as it allows, but even then that seems a little long. There's been some issues there for him that's knocked him out of position that he was racing for. Andrew Neal has had a moment on track and come back to the pits via tow. Tim Nicol hits the lane. On his part, he's actually on his outlap already. Apologies for the 222. As Eitler gets the slide on exit to turn 5. Buchanan needs no further invitation to try and get the run up towards turn number 6. He has to go the long way around on the brakes. He will get it done though on the second place driver in the Dev split. Johnny Banach is once again on track for a Dev class win, but also in a position where I expect him to be rapidly promoted to the elite split. Eitler will find the fence too on exit to turn number 8. Hang on to it, mate. Only a handful of laps to go. 5 minutes on the clock. Going to be the ultimate arbiter of all this one here. As Blacklock is yet to hit his pit box as Capel comes down the start-finish straight, so he will 100% inherit the race lead, as to be expected. Cullen goes through. Actually, has Blacklock already... No, pardon me. It would appear that Blacklock's stop didn't properly register. So he rejoins the circuit in 4th place. About 6 seconds ahead of Blake Fitz. He's got 5 minutes left. The question is, what kind of a gap can he build? Because right now, he would slot into P8 behind Eitler and ahead of Robbie Bradbury on that 10-second time penalty. That is what it's going to mean to him. Meanwhile, Slade and Buchanan have cleared Eitler and quickly rounded up the back bumper of Blake Fitz. They appear to have the pace in this part of the race, thanks to the fact that they are not damaged, whereas Fitz obviously is. Now, what's the assault going to look like from the AITT Revolution E Racing cars? Defensive through turn 8 from the 686. Who's got the drive? Heading down Seaside Way. It's pretty even, but the straight line is definitely not there. Slade has a look, under brakes. Does he get there? He gets there eventually. It takes a bit of coordination and cooperation from Fitz. And he'll get up, one up the inside. Buchanan's looking, but he's made that move once and it's been made in a way that got him contact. No penalty for that one yet, though I didn't see. And yeah, it's going to be pretty brutal to watch down this start-finish stretch. Buchanan with draft and an undamaged car. He has closed all the gap to Fitz, but he can't get around him. until he gets on the brakes later. Does he get it pulled up for turn 1 though? He does. Buchanan takes a kiss at the right rear from the tyre bundles on the exit. The car comes out unscathed from my look, and then he gets a very straight exit off of the fountain section. He'll just pull a car length on Fitz in the process. Looks like the two Revolution E-Racing cars are going to get through and hang on there to 4th and 5th. That also now, though, means that Blacklock is going to have his margin potentially cut into here. So he's currently sitting pretty much exactly on 10 seconds ahead of Blake Fitz. So going long and now bolted on the fresh tyres, Blacklock is looking to really make some hay. He's almost got 10 seconds on Buchanan, according to the relative on screen here. So the question is, a couple of seconds of clean air. Blacklock, it looks like there's very little traffic. Can he bang out a couple of fast laps? That might mean he can stave off the most of his positions loss. He may, he's really lucky here on pace, be able to also clear Jake Slater, not lose any spots to these AITT Revolution E-Racing cars as well. PB, 1 minute 20.7. Which beats Slater Buchanan's time by nearly 2 whole seconds on that last lap. So that could be important to play here. Eitler back in the fight with Blake Fitz through turn 1. That'll take a couple more corners to eventuate though. And got to watch the pace of Slater Buchanan. Buchanan the faster of the two. Will that make a difference in the closing couple of laps here of this race? We are going to see the white flag next time round for an 18-lap feature race affair. Lachlan Capel has the lead, pretty much down, locked up tight it seems for the moment. Does Will have a penalty? I thought he would have one coming, but so far nothing from race control notified. So that may come after the fact for him. At the moment, he's in the clear.
Oh, there we go. Blacklock just cleared 10 seconds on Slade, so currently he's not going to affect his position. Yeah.
Oh, it's close though. Capel takes the white flag from Barney, meantime, on Shoreline Drive. The final lap is underway. We've also got Eitler looking to really size up Blake Fitz for that 7th place on the road. Oh, though, big swiggle for Eitler. He's going to lose any chance of a run to turn 1. And you've got Bradbury, Pavlovich, Luthwaite and Lavis there all in the background. They will certainly have a crack if the opportunity comes their way. Just going to have to watch the clock from here on out. Blacklock looks to have pace over the AITT Revolution E-Racing cars, but he's only got 3 tenths in hand at the moment. He's got to make this final lap still stick, clean and count to make sure he hangs on to a 4th place finish. It's not a lot of margin to spare when there's that time penalty overhead. This pack could be exciting. Watch 2 Pacific Esports Racing cars in the form of Bradbury and Pavlovich here, trying to fend off Luthwaite and Lavis. In the closing stage, Luthwaite up the outside of Pavlovich. Can't get anything though to turn 6, and Lavis is right there too. Watch out for him if we can, but we also need to grab Lachlan Capel round the final hairpin already for the 918. Starting on the pole in the sprint race tonight. Made an absolute meal of the start, but he'll convert from an inverted 3rd, a P8 start. He'll get himself the race win that his qualifying pace suggested he deserved. Good job from him. Cutland 5 seconds behind will take 2nd. Johnny Bannack, he is definitely heading to the elite split with a podium finish here tonight. And Blacklock has done enough. The gap is up to 11 seconds. He will hang on to that 4th place. Penalties afterwards as Luthwaite has gotten around Bradbury on the final lap. Tries to get to Pavlovich, and he's just going to push him across the line with that run out of the hairpin there. Fitz, meanwhile, has held on ahead of Eitler for P number 7 as well. As we see our drivers come across the line in various states and shapes of Prix sideways on the run out of the Bridgestone corner up towards turn number 1. And Capel gonna burn down the rubber at turn number 1. Got away a little lucky in the opening sprint, Matt, to not jump the start enough to flag a penalty. Well, that well, call it what you will. Maybe it was a case of literally going at exactly the right time, but because he went just at the right time, it was a little too close for his taste. So hence he didn't commit to the jump. So that's the race 2 start.
Yeah,
We might be able to grab the race 1 start if we can. So you'll see here he's on a handbrake to line lock the car. So there's a mix of partial throttle clutch. So yeah, race 2 start's all good. It jumps the way he expects. If we can get the race 1 start by any chance, that's the one we want to have a look at.
I'll see what I can do.
Welcome to the Bedlam Beam. Well, folks have an invert top 10 race start. In case you were, yep, dodging the incident there between Blacklock and Luthwaite. And while we do so, we'll turn our attention to some post-race interviews as we're going to be joined by our comprehensively comfortable dev split winner tonight, which has probably landed him a promotion to the elite class. Johnny Bannack joining us here first up for interviews. And yeah, Johnny, well done tonight, mate. You have been racing up and definitely with the elites tonight. Anything about Long Beach that particularly appeals to you in that case, or is it simply a matter of it all just clicked in practice and racing tonight?
Really, it was just a lot of practice and a lot of help from the guys over at Revolutionary Racing, really. They're aware, obviously, I'm a bit new to the car, and they're very, very nice people to help me out, especially Leith with all of his setup experience. It was really just, to be honest, it wasn't anything in particular with Long Beach. It was just a lot of practice and a lot of work with the setup that really got me to where I am today, but also a bit of luck, so yeah.
Well, you say luck, but let's walk through the numbers for the folks in case you didn't quite catch the earlier parts of the race. You qualified 7th. Your next best driver in the dev split was P10. You then held that 7th place in race number 1. So you very much earned your positions there on merit. And then, despite that flipping the top 10 around to a P4 start, you then held that and moved up to 3rd in race 2. Now, yes, there was a little bit of madness at the start of race 2 to think about there tonight, but I think luck certainly doesn't suggest anything about luck really getting you where you got tonight. It would definitely appear the hard work and the preparation have paid off for you.
Yeah, it does feel like that, and yeah, I just hope to carry the form through. I don't know about next week because I'm going to be seeing the missus again, so I won't have enough time. But yeah, I'll try and keep the form up and do the best I can, as always.
Now, I guess, yeah, we're preparing for tonight's race. Obviously, yeah, how much do you think that made a difference for you? Because you said obviously that was a big deal for you in preparing for this week. Just to be able to find the time to get the laps in. Obviously, it's a tricky track with a lot of, well, basically punishes you very hard if you make mistakes. So, how much would you say you learned in doing all the prep work this week to get ready for race fit?
I pretty much would say all of it, to be honest. It's pretty much where all of it came from, the result, like where all the result came from, really. And I'd say really pretty much just the prep, but also the help, again, like just the help from the boys over at Revolution. They've really taken me in, and to be honest, we've kind of clicked straight away, and I'm actually really happy with it. I was able to get myself on a bit of a deal with my previous team, who was more American and European based, to actually race with these guys, specifically in the supercars. So, in all honesty, it's just been, yeah, it was the practice and the time, but it was just also the culture as well, which has been pretty nice to, you know, get used to it as well, even though it's only been about maybe 4 days since I've joined the team.
Yeah, very good point there to make it. Indeed, we haven't seen you running in these colours yet, so great to hear that the synergy is alive and well and helping you out on track and also off the track as well, mate. Well, now into the second half of this current Gen season, we've only got 4 more weeks of racing left. And as you said, you're not going to get a chance to practice some, but we still at least see you on the track next week when the series heads to Mexico City at the new for iRacing race, Velodrome Hermanos Rodriguez.
Yes, 100%. I'm actually very looking forward to racing there. I think the overtaking opportunities will be better, specifically with the altitude and the tyre wear going to be kicked up a notch. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can, how the cars are going to perform there, but also just ourselves as drivers. and also particularly how well we can all prepare for it as well, given the altitude factor to consider.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, that's going to be interesting to watch for these cars. All naturally aspirated, so in theory they'd lose a chunk of power up at Mexico, but then they're still on an even footing if everything works the way it should. We're also going to be on the Grand Prix layout, so you've got to worry about that, how we see it raced in the Formula 1 Grand Prix. It's obviously turn 1 of Prime. So any other spots you can think of that might be just off the top of your head / what we know from seeing F1 cars, mind you, race here? Be a good spot for the overtakes in particular, or is it just going to have to be a wait and see thing other than turn 1?
I think pretty much all of the heavy braking zones, so particularly the ones in Sector 1, I'd say even the ones after the S's in Sector 2 towards the stadium will also be a good spot. I reckon even the hairpin is going to be a little bit like Long Beach's final corner tonight, you know, just more of a, you know, more of a risky type of move if you can get it done. So I feel like there's going to be a lot more compared to Formula 1, which was a bit of a snooze fest compared to what it's going to be in these cars, I reckon.
Well, yeah, look forward to seeing what that does then, because, well, I say that, but there's a good chance I actually personally won't be able to make it, unfortunately, so I'll have to relinquish that to probably Zach Caben for next week, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that'll have to do us for tonight. Speaking with you, Johnny, congrats again on the class win, as well as an outright podium there in race number 2 as well, to be clear. So great night for you. Floor's all yours. Anyone you want to shout and thank you haven't done so already?
Really, I just want to thank all the sponsors on the team. Really, AITT, Sudspeed, Kibby, IR Sidekick, Bunnies, Bills, and Shore X4. Really, without them, we wouldn't really have the resources that we have to really focus on racing hard and really doing well as we have tonight, and hopefully into the future. So thank you all to them.
Thank you very much for joining us, Johnny. Well done once again. Ladies and gentlemen, your Dev class winner here tonight, Johnny Bannack, although very much a good chance he might be on his way to the elite split after the results here tonight at Long Beach. Thank you very much once again, Johnny. Have yourself a good night.
Thank you very much. You too, mate.
All right, well, we've brought in the rest of the drivers who have joined us for an interview here tonight, which includes our rest of our podium from the feature race. So I might talk to them first quickly, which will mean, I think, jump up to our top step of the podium, and also, therefore, I believe, our elite class round winner, Lachlan Capel. Lockie, you qualified on pole, but unfortunately there, mate, what happened at the start of the race there? Because you looked like you jumped the start. You've then avoided the penalty by must have been mere microseconds and had to then recover from being absolutely bogged down and absolutely hounded on the turn 1.
Yeah, so I go from not having a handbrake bound at all for Pro Series to having a handbrake and forgetting how light it is and letting it off slightly early. So that wasn't very smart of me. But as you said, I have zero clue how I avoided a penalty. Miracles must have happened because I definitely moved. I think I moved more than I did in Pro Series and I didn't get a penalty, so maybe it was good timing. Who knows? But I just let my hand slightly off pressure of the handbrake and goodbye. But as soon as that, I tried to hold the handbrake back to stop it from stalling me or doing whatever it was doing. I got back to third, which was okay, and I got back to second on a third, but I couldn't get close to second in time for the end of the race. I had the pace, but wasn't close enough. But the front of the field was actually quite fast for that first 5 laps or so, so I was finding it hard to catch up that 3-second margin I had to get back. But once we got there, so that was that for race 1.
Yeah, and then race 2, obviously inverting the top 10. It's almost a bit of a free-for-all down to the first couple of corners, and then you weren't immune to what was happening around you at the start of the race. It would appear you picked up a bit of damage after we had Boothwaite and Blacklock making contact on the exit of the fountain on that first up. But I also did see, whilst we were watching the replay and talking to Johnny, you had yourself an interesting moment through the kink. On the front stretch, you actually somehow ran wide and slapped the fence pretty nicely, if I'm not mistaken. I swear my eyes didn't deceive me. I saw that a little while ago. But picking up a bit of front damage, I presume you were able to get that cleared up, or did you just leave that be at the end of the race? Was that able to drive through that without too much issue?
I was definitely able to drive through it. It wasn't very fun. Probably lost about a second a lap or so. It was pretty bad. As I like to call the front crash bar of death, which is what looked like my car post turn 5, or whatever it is. So that cost me a lot of time, but I was able to have enough pace just to sort of hold on to the lead for a little bit. And yeah, understeer. The car was actually naturally understeering through that anyway if you didn't get the line right. So me getting the line slightly wrong plus no front downforce equals in the fence. But it didn't actually do much more damage than what it already had done, which was nice. But once I got that fixed with the fast repair in the pit lane, I was flying. The 20.6 I think was at least a second faster than what I was able to do previously. So that just goes to show how delicate these cars are.
Yes, okay, indeed. It's been odd cases. Sometimes they get away with stuff. Other times, yeah, it's a real make a meal of it pretty easily in these things, unfortunately. But obviously for this season of GSRC, your attendance is a little bit constrained by other things going on that demand your attention in this car and other cars as well. So for those who haven't sort of watched along this season, sort of how many more, we've only got 4 more weeks of racing left this season, but how much more might we be able to expect you to race, given we've got tracks like Mexico City next week, Snetterton in 2 weeks, Imola in 3 weeks, and finish at Phillip Island in 4 weeks?
I'll only be able to do 2. One I'm away, which is Snetterton. The other one is Pro Series, which is PI, which I'm slightly disappointed on. But I'll try and see if I can make the next 2. Mexico is going to be very interesting. Same with whatever the 3rd track was. But it's been up and down. I wanted Imola, that's it. Yeah, that probably won't be too bad in a supercar because it likes the curbs. But I thought I'd jump on tonight anyway to test a new force feedback setting I'm trying. A couple of the guys in the team showed me a few of the new VRS, the next gen FFB design, and I thought I'd give it a proper go compared to last time where I gave it half a go then switched back. So back to 60 hertz and then sort of configured it from there, and I found something that feels decent. It's a lot stronger than what I was running previously, but I feel like I can feel a little bit more. The curves feel a bit weird, but probably just a tuning thing. But it definitely feels, I think I need to go this way anyway, because if VRS are going to change their sort of FFB setup and go with this design for 60 hertz, I probably need to try and convert over. So good test. I definitely got a bit more weighty feel out of the car, but still tinkering with settings to find what I want.
Yeah, that's always an interesting, fun little game. We're in a sort of this era when it comes to sim racing hardware of, well, new wheelbases at the high end, mind you, from SimiCube and SimLab, entering the direct drive market for the first time this year. But then you've got, yeah, VRS with firmware force feedback updates. V&M out of Vietnam have been sort of making their own moves in the market with their own mix of FFB and telemetry data for wheel stuff, which has been apparently quite impressive. So yeah, it's an interesting case. They're like, yeah, on that topic real quick, obviously changing stuff like force feedback settings and trying them out can make a huge difference. Obviously, as you said, it's still same hardware, but now new firmware, software, and settings. I guess, as you said, heavier wheel, curbs a little interesting, but generally you'd say if there's something there you like more than what you had previous, or is it still have to really test it out more with other things to know for certain that you're happy with it?
There were definitely some things I preferred. That the weight of the car seems to be really important because you can tell whether it's oversteering, understeering, locking, whatever. That's because that's how you get all the feel in sims. So it was a lot more helpful that way. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm faster in the other way. I'm not too sure. But it's more. I think at the moment I'm just struggling. I'm feeling maybe a tad bit notchiness in the curb strikes. They feel a lot more muffled compared to the really sharp hits that I was used to on 360 hertz. So I do think I'll have less latency, because that's what a lot of people have been recommending in the forums, to go back to 60 hertz, because the latency issue, and 360 is just not developed enough, but also the fact that VRS is going now the way of 60 Hz, or at least they haven't done the new next-gen FFB with 360 Hz and RSing properly yet, so I'd probably need to stick to 60 for now.
Yeah, it's an inherent byproduct of the way that 360 Hz force feedback currently works with an iRacing, instead it does inherit that little bit of latency, although it's kind of funny that comes up because it's a 16 millisecond penalty, which is quite, it's about 1/10 of your average human visual stimuli, maybe about 1/5, 1/6 of the human audio sense, but that's not really here or there discussion. It's a getting real in the weeds moment, but something that I'll be keeping an eye on as a generally tech-interested person in the community, but nevertheless, interesting insights and appreciate hearing them from you, Lockie. But probably time to wrap things up with you for tonight. Any final people you want to shout out and give thanks to before we let you go?
Obviously, a big shout out to Evolution Racing Team and Logitech G for the awesome result we had last Friday. A bit of a shame that we weren't able to fully convert with a lot of our cars getting damaged, and driving tonight felt like a deja vu hit to how much damage we drove with. But yeah, it was a good result. I had a quick chat to Robbie, who good to see he's coming back into the sim world on part-time, we'll call it a part-time basis. Gave me a couple of new setup tips for the car, so plugged it in for tonight and it seemed to work a bit better than what I thought it was going to work with, so good to have some of those things coming into the next couple of races of Pro Series and last round of Scops this weekend.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. Well done on pole and feature race win. It's enough to get you the round win, I believe, as well, unless there's some bonus points that'll change that equation after the fact. And yeah, hopefully see you out on track next week as you're thinking you might be able to. And for Imola in 3 weeks' time as well in that case.
Yeah, thanks Dan, thanks everyone for doing the broadcast, always good to watch it back.
All right. You're a pole sitter, feature race winner Lachlan Capel joining us there for that chat tonight. At least there's just 2 drivers left, and I'm going to pick up Sam Cullen next as he joined us with 2nd place in the feature here tonight, and an 8th place on the road for race 1 as well. Sam, it's apparently the first time this season, at the very least, we've had you in the Supercar field. We also, yeah, so didn't have you in a class, but it looks like you were certainly on track to join the elite group of drivers, basically pace here tonight. So forgive me if I've somehow missed you racing this car and getting an idea of where you stand, but if I am hopefully right, and this is all a bit new for you, how much time have you spent with the Supercar elsewhere getting ready for this? And how do you think you went out there today? Yes, there is the push-to-talk requirement.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. Got you, mate.
I think I did decently out there. I didn't do too many practice laps. I will say though that this is probably one of my favorite tracks. I just love street circuit racing. I love being able to push to a wall and not have track limits, although I did get a slow down penalty at the fountain, which was quite annoying in the first race. I think I did alright though. It is my debut tonight. I joined GSRC last week actually, so I think I've done alright for my first ever round.
Well, there we go. Well, welcome to the club in that case. And looks like you've done a pretty good job there. So yeah, that slowdown a little rough there, especially straight off the bat in race number 1. It did mean you get put back towards the rear of the top 10 and then had to settle for 8th place in that first race. But had a lot of fighting in this one, which sort of saw the gaps grow out pretty big. You end up sort of scrapping over minor places. You had Lachlan Prix and Jordan Knightley with you there for the most part in that first race. But then flipping the script into race 2, you get to start at the front of the field in 3rd place, and you hang on to it very nicely to finish up in 2nd place.
I didn't expect that, to be honest. I didn't know it was going to be a reverse top 10 or whatever it was. I thought it was just going to be like a longer feature race, and then I saw that I was starting P3 and I was like, well, that's just great. Yeah, I think I held decent pace out there. I did struggle with the starts a little bit. I need to work on how to start this car 100%. Yeah, just struggle a little bit off the starts, but when I get a few laps and I start concentrating real well.
Yeah, you certainly nailed the number here in that case. So Long Beach and street circuits in particular a favourite, which is interesting to hear. I mean, it's certainly not an unpopular pick to make on the service. You noted there that the big thing you enjoyed about racing around a place like this is that it's very much, you have the track and then you have the walls. And it's all about getting as close as you can to them without damaging the car in that respect. So I guess, how much did you have to learn with the car to get the most out of it around here tonight, given you've got, sounds like a bit of a history with the circuit in other cars, I'd presume?
To be honest, I don't know. It just, track felt very oily at the, well, just at least slippery at the start of tonight. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Street circuit is just my type of racing. Like, I'd say my least favorite track would be Phillip Island, and that's the complete opposite of this, so I'm not looking forward to that either in 4 weeks.
If there's any consolation, I don't know what it is about that place, but I kind of just generally underperform at Phillip Island too, so I can sympathise with that thought, 100%. Whether I actually dislike it or not, I'm not entirely sure. Just something about, I just do not click there, but fair enough. So thinking about the next couple of weeks in that case, one, can we expect you at all the races if you can make them? Or two, will it sort of be jump in and out based on your availability? And out of the tracks, Mexico City, Snetterton, Imola, and Phillip Island. We've already crossed off Phillip Island. Which of the other three then would probably be a top pick out of those?
Yeah, I definitely am expecting to be at all those races. I don't have anything on Wednesday nights, so that's the main reason I joined this league. And I reckon Imola would be a favourite of mine, besides Long Beach. I don't know, just the way the track's set out. It's not much elevation, although there is kind of elevation changes, but yeah, it's just out of those 4 tracks remaining, I mean, I've never raced a V8 at Mexico, so I don't know what to expect there. I think it should be a good race though, with the amount of straights and overtaking we can have. Snetterton's personally not a favourite, and then yeah, Phillip Island definitely isn't.
Okay, so we're about split then, so that's all right. Well, I think we can work with that for you then in that case, but pretty good start to racing on a Wednesday then here with us at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Sam. Should expect to see you kitted out as an elite driver in the coming week, in the next week or so, once that all gets confirmed through a bit of a data analysis from Adam Lavis. But I'll have to leave it there for tonight. Congrats on the P2 in the feature. The floor is all yours. If you want to thank anyone in particular who helped you get it done.
Yeah, I think mainly just like to thank my team, RER. They definitely wouldn't have been as fast if I wasn't without them. They provide setups and stuff like that. They can really help just your confidence at a track. Thanking all the sponsors in that as well. So yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for the broadcast as well. It's good to re-watch.
Well, much appreciated. Glad to hear it, and good. We'll be seeing you out in track, Sam, and hope to all the best for the week to come beforehand.
Yeah, thank you.
The man who comes home P2 in the feature, joining us there, Sam Cullen, for a chat about his night tonight. And then the last person who's been waiting a little while, and I do apologise that it has taken us the time it has, but hopefully we've kept it somewhat prompt. Sam Blacklock also sneaking in for a quick chat here tonight. A tale of two halves, Sam. Qualified P3, less than a 10th off pole. Get yourself a beautiful run to turn 1 to steal away the race, the opening sprint. But race 2 then a bit sideways after you've picked yourself up a penalty for contact on lap 1. You then had to drive your way into a gap to try and undo that, and you were able to do so, not without a mistake in turn 1 as well to boot.
Yeah, not the most ideal night. ultimately, you know, we had the fastest car in qualifying trim, although Capel was probably going to be pretty close. So yeah, I guess the night started off with, you know, really poor execution in qualifying. But, you know, in saying that, also some really good laps from Capel and Will Buchanan as well. And yeah, so got lucky off the start of race 1 and was just able to sneak into the lead. And I basically put my head down and gave myself a goal to essentially try and get the gap to Will out to about 4 seconds, just so I had something to sort of, I guess, aim at. And I think I missed out on that by not even 1/10 of a second, but I had a crack and it kept me motivated. So yeah, it was all good. And then we get to race 2. Yeah, another awesome start, and yeah, just going through the fountain section. You could see some cars in my mirror sort of coming in a bit hot, so I thought, I might try and just go to the outside line around the fountain. And I was sort of hoping Aidan Luthwaite would give me a little bit of room there just to carry on. And yeah, as we'd gone in, I looked in the mirror. There was cars all behind me, so I thought I was about to get cleaned up. And unfortunately, they'd all backed off, so I could have then backed off. And in the end, I ended up just turning Aidan. So yeah, shocking mistake from me. Like the amount of races I've done in a supercar. Yeah, I should have known better. But yeah, and then obviously the mistake, that was just, I guess, domino effect. And yeah, then had a good sort of fight back to the end. And yeah, I just got to say it's awesome to see Johnny and Sam, you know, awesome pace tonight and awesome result for Johnny, who I've seen around this season a few times. And yeah, it's awesome for him to finally get a good result.
He's been competitive in the dev results, but then yeah, it's just tonight, as he was talking to us all there, yeah, put the practice in. We're seeing here replay on board with you. So each there, you note that you felt that you were under pressure there, potentially into the fountain on lap 1, that you needed to sort of try and hustle around the outside, but then that's all dried up as the gap then shrinks to nothing, and 2 cars into 1's never going to work. And when you ended up being only just alongside Aidan, I can understand, yes, and I think it sounds like you accept the decision for race control there, that the penalty ended up being merited in the case. But you also then chose to go longer than just about anyone else before taking a compulsory stop tonight, which meant you only had about 4 laps or 5 minutes to make the most of your tyres. But it ends up working out for you there. Part of that perhaps was the way that the cars behind you were battling. Blake Fitz had a bit of damage and may have slowed up a couple of guys, but you still then pulled the 10-second gap back to Jake Slade, for example, so you hang on to your P4 at the end of the day. With the overcut being strong in these cars, but a short track like this, meaning that I was thinking you maybe went a couple of laps too long. Was that a confidence in the car thing to commit to going as long as you did, or was that just you reckoned you needed to push it out so you could then really burn the tyres at the end to try and max the gap?
I'll be honest, I looked at the radar before the race, and from my, you know, expert weather knowledge, yeah, I think that only works in real life, because I looked at the radar and there was a whole band of stuff coming, which from what I could tell was meant to hit 15 to 30 minutes into the race. So I was hoping to basically run the tank out, and if it did rain at the end, I could jump onto a set of wets for the last few laps, and that would be good. But unfortunately, I think we're still yet to see a race in the V8s where it has started raining after the start of the race. I could be wrong, but yeah, so that was my plan. That's why I went so long, and ultimately, I guess, you know, it worked out. But you know, had I have known it wasn't going to rain, I probably would have done something a bit different. But yeah, still good to keep P4, recover. I guess what's been a you know, a pretty horrible night apart from race 1. So yeah, we'll go again next week. Don't know what track we're at. I know you've said it like about 70 times already tonight, but look, I'm over here analysing what I did wrong. So what is the next track, Deb?
Yeah, all right. Since you need me to tell again, yes, it's Mexico City next week. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez will play host to our racing next Wednesday night. From what I remember from what Greg Heaney has said earlier in the season, we will use the full Grand Prix layout as well. So obviously a very long start-finish straight, which should offer up some decent runs into turn one. But first time, I believe, we'll be taking these kind of cars to a track as it's such a high elevation that I get the feeling none of us really know what that altitude's going to do to these cars, if it does anything. Mind you, maybe it won't really, given that this is sort of a spec series despite the Camaro and Mustang body shells. So on that topic, we've only really, well, we've seen NASCAR run a shorter layout in the real world. We see F1 obviously on the Grand Prix layout. Do the real world experiences and any stuff, have you done much stuff at Mexico as well elsewhere on the sim that might give you some ideas of what to expect, or is it just going to have to be brand new learnings next Wednesday night?
Oh, I've done plenty of things in Mexico, mate, but I don't think they're safe to display on the broadcast. But anyway, no, look, we'll see. I'm hoping for good things at Mexico in terms of, you know, the way this car is there. Given the way it sort of drove at some of our other sort of F1 style tracks, I really think it's just, to me, just does not suit the Gen 3. So fingers crossed. With the long straight and everything, like, it should be some really good racing. But yeah, obviously you mentioned, I think Imola is at some point later in the season, and you know, that's one I haven't driven a Gen 3 car at, but I wouldn't even call it one of my favorites, but probably one of the best tracks in the Gen 2 car. So I'm really hoping it's not the Sonoma curse. And I'm hoping when we get to Imola, you know, these cars are really awesome there, because, you know, obviously Sonoma, I think last season or the season before, I was really looking forward to driving the new cars there, and I was very disappointed. So fingers crossed.
Yes, a bit of history for you at Imola, away from the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. So those who aren't or haven't been around iRacing League stuff for a while might not know it. But some pretty big 500k enduro wins in other leagues at the time. So yes, that might be important. That'll be in 3 weeks' time. You've got to fill in the gap with Snetterton beforehand, and then to Phillip Island, which has definitely seen the rounds this year already in endurance form elsewhere. So there's sprint racing to finish off at the island. To wrap up the calendar, but we can talk about that in later weeks, because I feel like now's a good time to sort of wrap everything up in general, mate. Sure thing, yeah, a night or two halves. So it sounds like, yeah, you'll tuck in and have a look through it all to make sense of what to do different next time. But for now, our floor is yours. Who do you want to thank for the good results earlier on, at least tonight?
Yeah, not so much I guess a thank you, but obviously a well done to Capel. Yeah, it's been good having him racing this series. Sort of ups the game a bit. It means I need to, you know, do a better job, and I think tonight sort of magnified that. But yeah, just a big shout out to all my teammates that rocked up tonight. Oh, wait.
Yeah, all 0 of them. I'm the closest teammate, and I'm up here in the commentary box. It's a good sign.
Well, at least one of you was here. Yeah, big shout out to the team, iLiveries and Revolution Race Gear, and yeah, also big shout out to old Turtle. She's got, well, she's looking after our. Something's going to kill me for this, but our child. We now have a fur baby. So yeah, apparently Luke has enjoyed my racing. Really odd for a puppy. He loves watching TV, so I'm sure he probably enjoyed that.
Yep, you can go find out about that. Maybe you're going to go back to being a fur daddy right now. So thank you for joining us, Sam. Hopefully, yes, we'll see you out in track next week, and all the best in the meantime. And let's hope, yes, for some good racing at Mexico City.
Thanks, Daddy Dan, and thanks, Matt. Yeah, thanks for all the work you do week in, week out on the broadcast. You know, it's not the easiest job, but you guys make it work. So, yeah, big thanks to you guys.
Well, unfortunately, Sam Blacklock gets the last punch on the back and forth here tonight. I don't have anything for him on that one there, so that'll do us for post-race interviews, Matt. Before we sort of look ahead to the week at GSRC, any sort of closing thoughts from you on tonight's racing across the two classes and categories that we've seen here, both in the TransAms and the Supercars?
Not a lot to say. Good driving for the most part. A couple of... Well, there was quite a big roadblock that we didn't really get too much of a look at the start of, I believe it was the first race there. But no real big shunts, just a lot of small mistakes that, due to the concrete canyons, resulted in a lot of cars stopped. But other than that, some good racing all around.
Yeah, for the most part, pretty good stuff indeed. Just a little wild, such as Trans Am Race 2, as well as, the lap charts say that it was the feature race that was particularly more wild than the heat race tonight, but it's definitely a place with the hairpin here at Long Beach. But definitely a recipe for madness. But let's conclude our thoughts by looking ahead at what's to come this week for the Gen3 Sim Racing Club and into early next week on broadcasts and also off the air too, because there is plenty of racing that is going to be kept for those who can get out on track by themselves. Tomorrow night, the broadcasts will continue. If we can find a backup producer, that is. We are unfortunately down Daniel Corriasar this week. So we'll hopefully have someone to fill the gap to enable the Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge and Pantech Industries Porsche Cup to continue on air as we usually do. So we'll hopefully have a positive response for you all on that one there, folks. Either way, if we do or we don't, there'll be same format as tonight for both of our categories at the Red Bull Ring for the GT4s. 15-minute opening race, 25-minute reverse top 10 feature with a compulsory stop. So actually more to the point, exactly matching the Supercars here tonight in the Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge. And then staying in America, as we have been on a Wednesday night, Panther Industries Porsche Cup will go to Road America for a 40-minute race with its own compulsory stops. At 7:45 p.m. green flag Australian Eastern Daylight Time for the GT4s, 9 p.m. AEDT green flag for the Porsche Cup. For qualifying on those ones, for the GT4s, jump in 10 minutes before the start time listed on screen there, folks, to get qualifying in. The Porsche Cup drivers qualifying will kick off at 8:30 p.m. AEDT on Thursday night. As has been the case this season, we then looked forward to Friday. Off the air, the skip and slide series will take to the Red Bull Ring as well for the same format as the GT4 Challenge. So in fact, it's very for skip barbers for a bit more drafting and a bit more sideways action, you'd think at least. And then we will see to getting the broadcast up as usual for the Disruptive Labs Road to Indy Next Level. It's taking to the next of its ovals on the schedule at Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway. For that one there, it'll be a 110 lap or 65-minute race coming your way. That'll be going green flag at 8:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Jump in 10 minutes prior for qualifying on that one there. And also, pardon me, skipped over the race start for skip and slide. That'll be green flag at 8:30 p.m. AEDT. Qualifying 10 minutes prior as well for that. Just keep your eyes out for that action. And then of course during the broadcast of the Indy Next Series, or just after it I should say, we'll then of course spin the wheel to find out what we're taking to the mountain this week for the mountain men on a Saturday night. A bit more of a social race, 32 laps with 2 comp cautions slotted in. Now the interesting is the placeholder map shows the sprint car, the asphalt sprint car currently in there. Unfortunately, that's a car that will be nigh on impossible to make work around a road course. And therefore we probably can't look forward to seeing that being the actual car on the wheel. I can but hope one day that we perhaps maybe indulge a slightly crazier choice than usual on the Saturdays. But that'll do for this week's racing, that is to remain. And then we look to next week, a new week to begin. We'll kick things off as we have each time. The Waste Options Toyota Rd-6 Challenge will start at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for its standard sprint race format. Make sure to jump in by about 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time to get in for qualifying, and then green flag at 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time for that. And we'll continue through to the second race of the night, of course, our Waste Options GT3 series. It is a sprint round with 14-lap opening race and 23-lap invert top 10 race 2. What that will mean is that we are going to do a bit of a split broadcast. The AM split will be featured on the first race of the night. And then during the second race of the night, we'll transition over to the Pro split to conclude the broadcast there on a Monday. Tuesday night's off the air as it has been this season. GSRC Rallycross takes to the Barcelona Catalunya RX course. So you can jump in for a bit of classic RX racing there. And then for the Pro Truck Series, we take to the asphalt once again. Circuit of the Americas, NASCAR West. If you're looking to get yourself a bit of road racing action in the big old trucks and with some very liberal track limits to boot, make sure to jump in. It's 8 p.m. Green flag for the Rallycross opening heat, so jump in 10 minutes prior for that. Same thing with 10-minute quali for Pro 2 trucks, so jump in by 10 past 9 AEDT for that one there. And then last but not least, we'll come full circle to the next 7 days, and it will be the return, of course, of us here on the merch.TGSRC.com TransAm series, taking its way to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. A 45-minute race at 7:45 p.m. AEDT. Join 5 minutes prior. I feel like I just said 10 minutes prior, but maybe I'm wrong. So be in by 7:30 p.m. folks to be able to make sure you're in for qualifying on that one there. And then the Trophi.AI Supercar series will head to Mexico City at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for a 40-minute race. Qualifying starts 8:30 p.m. AEDT. Green flag at 9 p.m. as you see on your screen. And that is all of the racing to come here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club across the next 7 days. And with that said and done, now just let's say one final thanks to all the sponsors that make it possible for us here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Disruptive Labs, series sponsor for season 2025D and a club sponsor for the season 2025D, and also series sponsoring the GT4 Challenge on Thursday night in Indy Next on Friday nights. Big thanks to Richard and the crew there for helping out the club with sponsorship. And joining us for this season, Waste Options, your title sponsor of Monday night with the Rd-6 Challenge and the GT3 series. Trophi.AI here, your title sponsor of the Supercar series on a Wednesday night here once again. Pantech Industries supporting the Porsche Cup on Thursday nights. That should beat the slideshow once again. Sprayton Non-Alcoholic Cider, long-term sponsor of the club. Good to have them on with us still, even if it's not a naming rights position. You can support the club directly at merch.TGSRC.com for clothing and other supporting apparel. And John at Flash Graphics, make sure to check in with him if you're looking for an iRacing livery to get yourself kitted out in some up-to-date looks and paint work. But that's going to do it here for tonight on a Wednesday, folks. Thank you all for very much joining us, whether it's been with the TransAm series or the Supercar series here, or hopefully both of them. You've been able to stick around for them. And until tomorrow night, if everything goes to plan, if you're sticking with us to watch all the action this week, hope you can join us next or tomorrow night, or Friday night, or if you're watching us specifically for Transams and or Supercars, hopefully see you back next Wednesday as well. Fingers crossed, I'll be back too, but we'll have to keep you guys on your toes on that one just yet, thanks to the way work is for me at the moment. It's a little bit variable, unfortunately, but that'll do for now. One final thanks to everyone at the club for making the racing possible from Monday through Saturday. And of course the matchmaking here alongside me, making all of our production angles and cameras possible here tonight, along with the overlays, even if they do try to kick him to the curb and make things a bit of a mess mid-show. My name's Daniel Yeaman. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll see you around the club other nights. If not, we'll hopefully see you back next Wednesday for more racing with Transams and Supercars here at the GSRC.